What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Not So Subtle, episode 32? It's been a long one.
That.
30 dose.
Season 2, episode 32 of Not So Subtle, the best podcast in the world.
We've had 32 episodes of season 2.
It's true. It feels like that. I'm joined here today by Coulter Potter,
Hello, boys.
Dan LaPointe.
Hello, girls and boys.
Hello, everyone. I'm
Hello,
Jordan
everyone.
Miller.
Hello, other.
Hello, anyone.
Hello, Zezers.
And everyone who's listening.
That expression. What?
Anything else? Anyone else?
No.
We always start off
Kermit?
Kermit, and especially you, Kermit.
Hello, frogs.
Frogs, pigs. Do we know any other Muppets? I don't know any other Muppets.
Aliens. One of
Eagles.
them's an alien.
Isn't there an eagle?
One's
Hello,
The general?
snuffleupaguses.
One is a Swedish chef.
Yeah, one is
Correct.
Very racist. Yes.
Okay.
one is an eagle.
Okay. What's his name? Or their name?
It's the general, I think.
Oh, General
I
Eagle.
thought it was Sam. Sam the Eagle.
Is it
or
Sam?
something like that.
I don't know. He is a general. I know that.
Okay. Well,
Or
good for
something.
him. I appreciate his effort during the
His
war.
service
His service in the Great War.
in the Great War when Seven Samurai was filmed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
We'll get to Seven Samurai later in the show when we talk about movies. We'll also talk about some other things. Emerald City Comic Con, which Coulter and I went to. I went to for the first time.
Not me.
Not you. You were excluded. We didn't invite you.
That's right.
So you didn't come.
That's right.
And we'll also probably talk briefly about video games at some point.
Mm-hmm.
We won't be talking about anime,
We never do.
because we never do. Because it's banned, is the thing.
Look, I've been wanting to watch some anime recently, so I could talk, not just so
Yeah.
I could talk about it on here, but I was thinking, like, because we always bring up anime, it's been on my mind. I was thinking, man, I should finish My Hero
Everything.
Academia, I should finish Black Lagoon, Naruto.
Listen, there's a lot of unfinished.
There's a lot of stuff I need to watch. Will it happen anytime soon? Probably not, but you never know. Never say never.
We are going to start out with, as usual, our office, coworker, party game, get 'em shooting from the hip, son.
Part 7.
Part 7, lightning
Which part
round.
is it?
There's a lot of parts.
Well, it's technically round 8.
Round 8. How many rounds do we have? Let's not actually figure.
Yeah, don't
say
even.
that.
We don't even need to.
Shoutouts to Elfster once again.
Okay, boys.
get it started.
It's time for the lightning question office party icebreaker game that will have your coworkers shooting from the hip.
Yeah, is that not what I said, Coulter?
It is. I apologize with the deepest sincerity.
Okay, that's okay.
Guys,
I will be keeping track.
all right. Thank you for. You always ask others to do it. But
You never
know
do.
what? Might as well just do it yourself.
I feel like you
champ.
guys aren't taking it seriously.
That's right. Climb a mountain or jump from a plane.
Ooh, jump from a plane.
Fuck.
Wow, that's kind of hard.
I'm gonna go jump from a
I don't
plane.
want to do either of these.
I'm gonna go jump from a plane.
And there's no reason why I have to do either of these.
Look, Jordan, you know what I'm about to say. Jordan and I went camping with some friends, like, 2 summers ago. Something
Yeah.
like that. And we woke up one morning and, like, first off, this is, like, in
And
the
you're
middle.
on top of a mountain.
That's right, and we're like, how
We
did
were
we
in a
get
plane.
here? Turned out we climbed it in our sleep.
Weird.
No, this is a little long for
I'm a
my
sleep
round question,
climber.
so I'll do the Spark Notes version.
go
Basically,
ahead.
we went to a convenience store like outside of the camping area that we had to drive to, and then we're like asking the people there, like, I feel like we're in some small town, and we're like, hey, do you know like where we can find water to like or like provisions or something? But it was like, do you know where we can go for a cool hike? And she was like, oh yeah, there's one like blah 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 over here, and it turned out that it was like a backpacking excursion or something like that. And we're like,
Yeah.
no, we can't do that. Like, it literally would have taken like 2 days to do it or something. So we're like, no, let's just go do this one. And so it's like somewhat close to our campground, and we go do it. And literally, I'm not kidding, the first like 5 to 10 minutes, actually the entire thing, but for the first 5 to 10 minutes, we were all considering stopping because it was like 180 degree incline. Just like, it was literally just a straight like incline, and we just had to like fucking.
yeah.
I'm not exaggerating. Like,
It was classified as a climber's hike, and it was very vertical and quite steep the entire. It was only 2 miles,
And
but
you guys had no gear to speak of.
absolutely no.
Look,
it
we
didn't
didn't-
require gear though. You could do it
Okay.
like walk up it, but there were some parts where you had to like grab onto things and kind of like hoist yourself up a little bit because it was very steep.
Like there was parts where like you would go up to like a ledge, like an actual ledge that you had to like grab onto, like like the top of the thing had like wooden like little posts, or like you would have to grab onto it like a branch and like hoist yourself up like to get up to the next part.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just like wake up in the morning with your family and go on this hike. It's like
It's
this
not
wasn't-
like walk
this
down a
wasn't
nice trail.
no,
this was an intense hike, and honestly, like, look, I'm not like, I don't hike a lot, I don't run a lot, I'm not like the most active person, but I can hike. This was a struggle.
it was challenging.
I thought I was
This
gonna
was
die.
global guts.
Look, it was horrible, and then but when
No
we
one
got to
got
the
that
top,
joke.
it was
It's
kind of
fine.
I don't know what that is. When you get to the top, there was like a lake. The whole thing was that there was a lake at the top of this area.
It was a very
So like
It was
you
American
hike-
Ninja Warrior.
You hike up to this lake.
There we go,
And
I
then
get
you're
that one.
chilling.
Yeah, thank you.
Was that what Global Guts is?
Guts is an old Nickelodeon show where kids do physical challenges such
Okay.
as that, basically.
Okay. American Ninja Warrior makes more sense. So when we got up there was a lake, and it was pretty chill. But then we had to go back down. And let me tell you, it's just as tough going down when it's that steep as it is going up, because it's not easy. You don't just get to like briskly walk.
Just jump down.
Honestly, you probably could have just like dead fished onto the thing and then just rolled all the way down.
You'd be dead at the end, but you would get down.
Yeah.
You would make it.
Look, it was insane. So that's because of that, I would jump out of a plane because I don't ever want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to do something harder than that.
Getting to a plane, like, first of all, you don't have to climb, and when you jump out, you have nothing left to do. Like,
And, like,
there's no
you just sit
exercise
there.
involved. Although, funny story about that hike, I did go there last year in the summertime when we went there. We did that same climb. About 10 minutes into the hike, air raid sirens started going off on the mountain we were climbing, and we're like, okay, like, what is happening right now? Like, those, like, bomb, like, sirens were, like, going... Yeah, we're like, what the, like, hell is happening on this mountain? Because we have no access to, like, the internet. We're like, all right, what's going on?
You can't look up, like, a advisory.
No, and the funny part is, this is very close to when Trump was making some not great tweets towards North Korea. Sort of like, is this the end? Like, are we... Is Seattle like getting nuked right now? But it turns out that the mountain uses those sirens to alert police officers of like crashes on the hillside or like on the road because they don't have cell service up there, so they can't call them. But it's a pretty haunting thing to hear those sirens go off when you're in the middle of a hike. It's like, well,
yeah, like you just hear them echo through the forest, and like this was out in well, we won't say where it was, but it was.
In the boonies.
It was very far away from
Yeah.
the fact that they didn't have cell service should be enough to tell you, but like this was way out in the middle of nowhere.
that was an exciting experience. But.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This is one of those questions where if I actually had to give an answer, I would just be sitting there sweating. Like, no.
Like if you had to immediately go and do whichever one you say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if you
Yeah, if I was on a reality TV show, or like if I was on Fear Factor and,
they're like,
these
these
two
are the two
options are
events.
presented.
dude, I would very easily jump out of a plane.
I mean,
Not easily do it, but like
I'm about to play this clip
that's the easy
right
choice.
before your Fear Factor excursion.
That's the easy choice for me.
The thing is, though, like, if it was a challenge, it was like, you either have to climb this mountain, I'd be like, okay, I can't do that. I literally can't climb a mountain. I can jump out of a plane as much as I don't want to. I could do it without, like, experience.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas climbing a mountain
Climbing a
is
mountain
just
is,
tough.
like, it's pretty deadly. It can potentially be deadly.
Listen,
can
so
jumping
can
out of a
jumping
plane.
out of a
Yeah.
plane.
A plan.
Out of a plan.
Never jump out of a plane.
You always stick with your plan.
So can jumping into a plant. From a plane.
It depends on what kind of plant it is. Next question.
Cactus.
Next question. Keeping it
I am
fast.
keeping score.
Are you?
Yes.
If you were really hungry, would you eat a bug?
Yes.
Yeah, I've eaten an ant before.
Just
All
for
right.
fun.
I
No, it
would
was
never
in, like,
eat a bug.
It was in like first grade. Like someone was like, "Do you want to eat this ant?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Of course."
I'm not
Hell
weak.
yeah.
Like, I'm not
Of course,
weak.
I'm not weak. I'll eat I'll eat a fucking ant, and I did. It didn't taste good. It was very bitter. It's very
bet.
spicy.
I feel like in a survival situation,
spicy.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I would eat something.
This is another one of those questions where it's like, I will never do this unless I'm on Fear Factor.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I don't think I would be able to. I would literally, like, vomit if I had to eat a bug.
Stop recording.
Dane, we're back after a short intermission. Technical
10
difficulties
minutes in.
abound, but we're back.
Look,
We're back in it. We're back at it.
It was a little bit of a goof on my part. We're good.
Listen, you goofed. It happens.
It wasn't really my fault. It kind
Of course it wasn't. Okay, moving on. We're back to lightning rounds.
The the bug situation.
Oh, would we eat a bug?
Yeah. So no.
Never?
No.
What if you only...
You said yes at the beginning.
What if you could only...
No, I said that I ate an ant.
Really hungry, would you eat a bug?
Yes.
Yeah, I've eaten an ant before.
Would you eat a bug?
Yeah.
So you've already eaten a bug.
But it was like it was a dare.
It was for fun.
It was for a little goof.
So what if you were out in the woods and you didn't have food? You just wouldn't eat?
I would sooner eat an animal than I would a bug.
No shit. Like, of course, everyone would eat an animal first, Dane. That's...
Like, but I mean, like...
If you literally, like, saw a
Yeah, I would
bug
rather eat a
that was
chicken.
looking all juicy...
No. That would
No.
that would be, like, my absolute last
I would definitely eat a
resort.
chicken before I ate a bug.
Let's imagine you're at your absolute last resort. You've gone 2 full days, no food.
Man, maybe. Sure. That
about-
wouldn't do much for you, though. That's the thing. Like,
Still food. What if it's a nice juicy snail?
Bear Grylls.
that's the thing. Is it even safe to eat most bugs?
If it's cooked, why not?
What are you gonna... No, this
You're gonna
is...
hold it above the fire?
You're just gonna go,
Yeah.
like, a little twirly twirl and a little stickaroo?
Yeah.
Get a tiny
This isn't
little...
Monster Hunter, Jordan. You can't just pop out a little fucking
You actually,
bench.
that's how you would cook something.
Yeah, just hold it over. I know
Get a
that.
tiny little rotisserie. That's how you would cook something.
I understand how you would cook a bug.
So then why are you acting like it's a ridiculous idea?
Because it's just... How are you gonna start the fire?
I don't
Listen,
think he
that's
ever
not the
cooks
point.
the bugs.
Look, we didn't start the fire, but it was always burning since the world's been turning.
Listen, if a fire was there, you could cook something on it.
Does he ever cook the bugs?
I'm not sure.
No. This is Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls. He literally just eats whatever.
He just goes
on the
in,
spot.
dude.
Listen,
Yeah.
the man will eat dirt on the ground if he had to.
I once saw him took a bite out of an antelope.
Did
Point
you
blank
actually?
range. No.
It was still,
absolutely not.
Point
still
blank
kicking, and he
range.
just snapped at it like
A live
man.
antelope.
All right.
And then the antelope ran away. He was like, "Oh my god!"
He was still hanging out with his teeth. It's like a cheetah.
I mean, it's Bear Grylls, dude.
Holy shit!
Dude, he went in, dude.
Alright.
Later on, it's just a scene of him, like, with his family. It's like, no, you should have seen this guy, dude. He fucking went in, bro. He took a bite out of my fucking leg,
fucking
dude.
calf.
Yeah, my fucking calf.
Alright, man. Did you go to sleepaway summer camp as a kid?
The hell is that? It's a sleepaway
Like a summer camp where you sleep
Is that
there.
where you go and pre-molest you or
Oh.
something?
No.
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 I had very clearly
You
had
never went
different
to a
childhood.
summer camp or anything?
I did go to a camp for school when I was younger. It was like a camp trip. Yeah. I probably could say it. I'm not going to at this point, but
I
we
know.
did go. So
Your school
What
did
did you
that.
do?
Our school didn't.
we went to an island. I think it's an island. I don't remember. It was a long time ago, and we just went
Virgin
there and did
Islands
camp
nice?
stuff. No,
Virgin Island, nice!
but yeah, we went and hung out there and did camp stuff. I guess.
So,
Like water sports?
No,
No?
none of that.
no,
No,
that's more of like an 18+ thing.
yeah,
Okay.
that's the NSFW part of the camp.
So you like barbecued burgers.
count-
I think so,
counselors do.
yeah,
And, like,
and just
went
played
on
like
playground
yeah,
equipment.
not playground equipment, just like we
You
went
went
to the
to the
woods
gymnasium.
and yeah,
Oh.
like that kind of thing.
Okay. Did you sleep there?
Yes,
Okay.
it was a.
How long?
So you did go.
I think it was a
You lied.
weekend. I don't remember.
Okay, so I have a couple things to say here. One, yes, twice. One was for... It was related to the Boy Scouts. I don't know if it was Cub
The
Scouts
boys.
or like Wolf Scouts.
Listen, you
Cub
never made it to
Scouts.
Wolf Scouts. Let's be
It
honest.
probably wasn't Wolf Scouts. It was probably Cub Scouts at the most.
I didn't know Wolf Scouts was a thing.
Yeah, that's the big leagues, Coulter.
It's
I
not.
wouldn't
'cause
expect you to know about it. No, it's not.
Men
really.
Scouts is the big boys.
There's
Adult
Weebelows.
Scout.
Weebelows is the big boys.
below.
Yeah, so like it was like a mom and son camp where like it was
Mommy and
usually
me.
because usually it's like
The mommy and me
the
muffin
dad
lunch.
is usually like the dad is usually the like den leader or whatever as long as he's not gay. Because that's just a no-go and they're subhuman at that point. According to the Boy Scouts of America.
Yeah, thank
you. But
For the clarification.
But so this was one of those times where it's like, hey moms, you can do like activities too. And so it was mom and son camp, and that was kind of fun. You got to I got to shoot a gun.
Really?
What
Well,
kind
it was
of
like
gun?
a BB gun or something.
Okay,
like that.
so it wasn't a real gun.
It wasn't like a No, it wasn't. It was a BB gun. It wasn't like a real firearm. I got to do archery. There's a lot of stuff that they had you do, and that was pretty fun. And then, didn't we go to? We went to like a camp together one time. That was like It was like a retreat for like the Bible thumpers or whatever,
Oh yeah,
and that was fine. But
it was like a one night thing. Maybe it wasn't
like
even,
a 1 or 2 night thing or something.
Yeah,
like
maybe
that.
just 1 or 2.
Which is fine. But like,
Bible thumpers.
what I was gonna say is like
not burning any bridges.
that's what it is. I mean, it was a Jesus camp.
was religious
and
camp,
I was
yes.
I was out of place. So that
Absolutely.
was fine. But my main point here was that, like, when I was growing up, watching like TV shows and old movies and stuff, like, you always think of camp as like this, like, legendary thing to do as a kid, and like it's I feel like camp is like glorified.
Clamp Laszlo.
Clamp is like glorified to an extent where it's supposed to be like this like magical thing. I don't even like camp that much. Like,
Yeah, no, I wasn't a huge fan of any camp. So.
yeah, and also like I feel like camp is going to camp, or like that whole thing where you know, on TV shows all the time it'll be like, oh, I'll see you in like next school year, like I'll be at camp all summer or something like that. Like, who goes to a camp all summer? No one does. No, I don't know a single person like in my life who's ever done that.
Probably just rich parents send their kids to camp. So that they
We
don't
have
to
a
deal with
friend who went to camp every summer of his life for all of our childhood years.
Oh, that's true. That's the only person. That is the only person that I know, though. That's the one human on this planet that I know did that.
Okay.
I don't know who that is.
His name starts with a T.
And we talked to this person.
Yes,
Okay.
frequently. Not every day. Frequently, though.
Watchers of the of other media may be able to piece it together. But
Listen, we could
luckily, no one watches
We
everything.
could throw his name out there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
That's true. But yeah, so... but like, I don't know. That whole concept seems weird to me because I never went to summer camp every year.
Mm-hmm.
I've only been to those 2 camps. I don't really have a very like big experience with camp, so
Yeah,
it just seems odd to me.
yeah. I went to so Young Life. I think is like a national or at least widespread in America thing.
Yeah.
And they had a camp here that you go to like this island in Canada nearby. And it's like kind of a big deal. There's a lot of interesting stuff to do there. The sites are quite nice. There's hiking. You go on the old inner tubes.
Fun stuff.
There's plenty of sporting to have happen. There's a zip line. There's frolf. You wear frolf. Frisbee golf.
All of which you happen to hate.
I love frolf.
Frolf.
Hate everything but Frolf.
Frolf was actually the best part, I'm going to say right now. But yeah, the process of getting there was kind of annoying because, like, the last part of it was a ferry ride that was, like, a very small ferry. Like, not one of those big ferries that we go
Yeah,
on
sure.
with cars or whatever.
Yeah.
It's, like, a people-only ferry. It's, like, a small boat, and they just jam, like, everybody from the whole camp, like, onto that boat. And it just gets super hot and stuff. So that was bad. And then, like, the first few days, they, like, they basically pulled us out of our beds and it's like, let's do this obstacle course. All the different, like, bunks are going to compete to, like, get through this obstacle course. And then there's, like, it's, like, at night and you're running through the forest and you're, like, if you're not athletic, it's, like, why did I even come here?
Yeah.
So yeah, that sucked. And then I actually oh yeah, there's also a ropes course, which is one of the scariest things known to man.
Yeah,
You're just
sounds-
walking on top of ropes that are like strung between trees. And then at the end of it, you literally jump off of a platform and then the harness catches you. So
No,
you're attached to the
no,
harness
no.
the whole time, but then at the end you have to jump off of a thing
Nope.
and let the harness catch you. You
No,
absolutely
no.
have to do it.
No.
And I did it. It was terrifying.
Dude.
That was horrible. And then also I went on the zip
Fuck.
line, which was fun. But one of the times, so the way they get you up out of the zip line after you get in the water is they pull down the zip line and then you grab it and then it hoists you up and onto the boat. So I grabbed the zip line, got hoisted up on the boat, started walking down the dock back to where you start. And then I noticed that my hand was bleeding. And I had been leaving a trail of blood all the way, like, down the dock.
No.
And then I got, I looked at my hand, and it was, like, clearly, like, a gash there. And it was probably from the metal of the wire that I held on to. And so the doctor there literally had to give me like a couple stitches, like in his little laboratory.
In his little like
In a science lab.
his little hut on this island in Canada.
Yeah.
Was he nice though? He was Canadian. It must have been nice.
Yeah, it was fine. The doctor was fine. I don't remember anything about him, but he was
Dr.
fine.
Jones.
Dr. Indiana.
Your doctor was Christopher Walken.
Doctor.
We need to
We need to stitch you up. But yeah, that was really unfortunate.
I bet you're starting to question why you came to this camp.
I question why I went to that camp every day. But I mean, it was a formative experience. I mean,
Sure.
Yeah.
And you found Jesus?
I'll remember it. I absolutely didn't. But
I absolutely didn't.
I thought about it a little bit. I was
tried.
like, Jesus? And then
You're like, Jesus? Is he cool?
the light never turned on. He never presented himself to
okay,
me.
let's be honest though. Like, how? Just out of curiosity, did they press Jesus pretty hard? Did they press the whole Bible?
Yeah.
Pretty hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that would be a huge detriment for me.
At the end of every night, there's this thing called club where you go, everybody gathers up in this auditorium, and the first thing you do is sing songs. And then after they've warmed you
Sing
up...
songs about Jesus.
No. It's actually... there might be like one or two worship songs, is what they call them, mixed in. But
Sing like
it was
Kumbaya or
mostly...
something?
No, it was mostly just...
Christian
Kumbaya.
rock.
Top 100
Did you
hits.
sing
It was top
Tyler?
100 hits. We literally sang like Katy Perry and stuff like that.
That's fun.
Really?
Yeah. It was just like pop songs because they know that like kids, all listen to that. So it's like,
Sure.
yeah. So we literally sang Katy Perry until the night went away, and then
And then they sent each one of you one at a time into a room, and you had to confess your darkest secrets, and then they tape it and they use it against you if you want to leave the church.
That's right.
This isn't.
This isn't. Yeah. But yeah, and then someone would come up and like talk about Jeebus. So. Yeah, and then like there would be time. There was one time where I was like, all right, after this, I want everybody to go out and just like walk to your own spot on the island or whatever, and then just chill and just like think about they didn't say straight up think about Jesus, but just like think about this like message or whatever, and see if you can like come to terms with like your relationship with Jesus or something like that. And I was like, all right. And I just sat in front of like the view of like the ocean, just like sat there. I was like, what am I supposed to do with this?
You're supposed to think about Jesus.
Yeah, it's like I sure am thinking. I'm picturing him.
You're picturing that sick ass beard, his flowing hair in the wind.
Anyone that's religious is listening to this like, wow, you guys are fucking garbage. They already turned it off.
Good.
So, yeah, that was my experience with that. And then at one point during the whole trip, one person stood up and they're like, guys, I have formed a relationship with Jesus.
Wow.
No way.
And like announced that.
Someone was converted.
Yeah, or like they said that they've established their relationship with the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
I know that they're not supposed to masturbate, but they all probably did that night thinking about the fact they converted someone.
Jesus
Well, if
Christ.
they hadn't stopped listening now.
Yeah, oh my God. Dude, yeah, and then we had like little talks with our camp counselor or whatever, the counselor of our
The priest?
no, there's no priests or anything like that. Just the leader of our bunk or whatever. We would have talks with them. And then people would like share personal information about themselves, and I like learned a lot of super personal stuff about the guys from that bunk. So yeah, that was kind of crazy, but I had like nothing to bring up. A lot of people were like, yeah, like I did horrible shite when I was younger, like I did horrible drugs or something like that, and I was like, oh, I almost like killed myself when I was a kid, like. So
And you're just like,
And you're like,
I played a lot of video games
I played
one summer.
Kingdom
was
Hearts
like,
game
yeah.
a little too long one day.
yeah, I thought about Jesus for a second, and then I was like, hold on,
Hang on.
Hold on.
Hang on now.
You
I'm
thought-
sure he's great.
He's probably a nice guy.
Was.
You
'Cause
don't
he's
know.
dead now.
You don't know that
He's still with all of us.
in our hearts.
All right.
We've definitely just removed any
We've
trace
definitely-
of religious viewership.
We've
Absolutely.
definitely alienated. I did that probably single-handedly.
We're a secular
I'm okay with
podcast, and that's okay.
Separate podcast and church is all we ask.
That's right.
That's what Dixon said, I think.
Yeah.
Is that the end of our lightning round?
2 questions.
Well, I mean, it's been about 25 min, so I guess we can stop it there.
Fair.
All right.
You guys want to talk more about Jesus, or?
Sure. Let's
Yeah.
try to bring back everyone that we
Yeah, let's
completely shut off
try
from
to
the podcast.
salvage all that.
No, we aren't going to.
I have no problems with anyone that is religious.
I don't either.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
Show it now. There's no
Look,
disclaimer being shown.
I have a lot of friends who like Jesus, so I can say it.
All right, we are gonna skip past this and talk about. How about we talk about Emerald City Comic Con?
Let's do that.
I'll
Dane.
talk about my look.
Or
This
Talk about
weekend-
what you did while we were doing
or lack of Emerald City Comic Con in your case.
Man, staring at my ceiling at
Yeah.
least 7 hours. Great.
Oof.
No, I was at work, actually.
So you were staring at the ceiling at work. All right. Must have been. That seems pretty fun.
staring into the eye of the beast.
But you know what
I have the
sounds
beholder.
more fun than that?
Going to ECCC.
Going to E ECCC.
which both of you did.
Did. I for the
right.
first time. Coulter.
Look, you always remember your first time.
Yeah.
I for the second time this year.
Yeah, and the second time on this podcast because you did talk
That's
about it
right.
on Friday, right?
That's right.
Or sorry, last podcast.
It was our title discussion.
right. So we can talk about it again. I went. This is the first year I had ever gone. I kind of wanted to go other years, but didn't really care too much about it. But this year, Coulter's like, "Hey, you want to go to Emerald City Comic Con?" I said, "I guess I'd be down.
Sure, I do.
Why not?" And so I went, and it was pretty neat.
Did you
Tell
like
us
it more than
about it,
PAX?
Jordan.
Did I like it more than PAX? Probably not, because PAX. I mean, they're kind of different, right?
PAX is higher profile.
It's higher profile, and
In
also
some
you're
ways.
going there to do something, whereas you're mostly going to ECCC to shop or
Yeah.
go to panels if you wish. I didn't go to any panels this year. I didn't go. I only went one day, so it was kind of hard to like. The ones on that day weren't that interesting.
Yeah.
And would I have gone on another day? Probably not, but I could have.
That's another thing different than PAX. The panels at PAX are much different and probably better for the most part.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
they cover
they're-
a different range of things.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, there's if you're into comics or like tabletop games or even like pop culture or like celebrities, like if you want to see like a favorite
Yeah.
celebrity or like anyone do a Q&A or like a signing or something, like ECCC is way different than PAX in that regard, because you'll see like a bunch of like movie stars and people from like nerdy TV shows and movies and stuff that will be there.
A lot of Big Bang Theory enthusiasts there.
Yeah, and there's also a lot like what's her name is always there. Shit.
Felicia Day.
Yeah, Felicia Day is always there. Like, she's like a huge celebrity.
There actually was
Will
one.
Wheaton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Will Wheaton.
Is
He-
that
he
all
was there.
conventions? He was there.
There
He's-
was
yeah,
actually
so
a
was
panel.
Felicia Day.
Yeah, there was a panel I was interested kind of in going in. It was a voice actors panel. A lot of big names on there. Voice of Solid Snake, David Hayter was there.
Did it have Laura Bailey?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a couple other big names
Troy
on
Baker.
there. I don't know if his name was on there. It might have been, but
Yuri
I didn't check.
Lowenthal.
I don't know. Probably. But there was some. I was like, okay, that would seem cool, but I didn't go to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did go there and kind of walked around, which you do, and bought some stuff, which was pretty neat. A lot of artwork there, which I was into.
Give us a rundown of your merch perch 3 days before church.
Merch perch before church.
Actually, it was your merch perch on the day of church.
Yeah, merch perch instead of going to church.
right.
I bought, starting out, mostly art prints. I bought a couple cool prints, some Naruto stuff, some My Hero Academia stuff.
What of?
One of them is of Naruto. It's kind of like a picture of Naruto, but the like painting itself is kind of like galaxy-esque looking. Looks very kind of like water painty-esque. Those ones are just kind of like cool little things. I bought some artwork of Gundams from an artist that Coulter also has, like the Shadow of the Colossus picture from. Do you have that here? I think you've probably seen that here.
It's not within arm's reach, but
Yeah.
it's a. I don't remember what the guy's name is,
Jason
but
something.
he goes by Chasing Artwork.
Yeah, Jason Chase maybe.
Maybe, I don't know.
But yeah, he coincidentally, and I hate saying this, I have used his artwork as my lock screen for my computer for well over a year at this point. And when I saw it, I was like, wait, that looks super familiar. And that image that I used, he was selling. It was sold out, unfortunately. But
Damn.
I would have bought it. It was very cool Neon Genesis stylized artwork. But I did buy some cool Gundam stuff, which he was a fan of, I guess. And yeah, I thought that was a cool coincidence. Another coincidence artwork that I bought was another one that Coulter showed last week. It was the guy who did the Samurai Jack painting. I bought one from him. An original piece from him
Was that the NGE
He said,
one?
yeah, also NGE.
Hey!
I don't want to bring up the fact that I used that picture as my lock screen on my PS4 that he claimed was original. He probably used it for reference. I'll say that, but it's a cool picture, regardless. It's not the exact same. He has his touch to it, but it is very cool. It's like painted on the glass, so it's a cool little piece.
Interesting.
Yeah. What Jordan purchased was not a print. It was an original painting that he drew with his hand.
It
Nice.
was really cool. He was selling, I think I mentioned this to you before, he was selling a Sephiroth painting that was a layered painting that had like feathers like imprinted in the glass. It was really fucking cool. And when I asked him, I was like, oh, can I look at that NG thing? He's like, yeah. I was like, and how much is that Sephiroth thing? He's like, that's going to be $1,000. And I was
You're
like,
I'm not about
I
that.
literally said to him, I was like, never mind. Like, like I don't
my
care
God.
anymore. Like, that's way too much money for me. I'm sorry.
He said, that's not worth it, and I hate the
Yeah, I
fact
was
that
like-
you priced it at that
You
point.
just projectile vomited.
I was just like, damn, that. I was like, it's really cool, but not in my price range. And he wasn't willing to haggle. So
Sure. Look, I'll give you 200 for it.
listen, if he had said like 200 or 300, I wouldn't have bought it. But I would have been like, oh, okay, like that's within like reasonable terms. Like,
yeah, but like
it's
$1,000.
$1,000
That's like
was like,
getting
no.
into like, well, even that is pretty low
Yeah.
on the range of like real art.
Yeah, I was just
pieces.
like, that's really fucking cool, but not gonna buy that. So yeah, so got that artwork, which I do need to frame. Have 0 frames. I never get frames after I buy any sort of artwork, and that's why all my stuff is just sitting on a table, not being put to good use at all.
Yeah, I have a hole underneath my bed full of prints and stuff like
I
that.
just need to get those frames because all that art is really cool. I even have like stuff from this packs that I haven't put up yet. I just got to get to it. But besides that, I bought also. I just bought a Comic-Con shirt, just like one of the standard like Emerald City Comic-Con things to commemorate my
your first,
my first one.
ECCC.
Yeah, and then also some Star Wars figurines,
Oh yeah, the samurai ones,
the samurai.
or samurai influence.
Yeah,
Samurai influenced Star Wars figures.
Teppo
They're dope.
Ashigare or Ashigaru, I'm not sure. Sand Trooper. He's very cool. I have that one out of the box and set up. And then also the Royal Guard, which is very cool, but I haven't taken that one out of the box yet.
Yeah, I may have been showing pictures of those. They're very cool.
Yeah. I was going to try to bring the box for one of them just to have it, but I was like, I'm not going to bring anything here because, first of all, I don't want to take it out of the house. And I'm very, very lazy, and I didn't want to bring it up here.
Yeah,
So.
it would have been more bulk to bring.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of artwork, which I enjoy because it was actually cool being like, oh, I can actually support this artist that I have seen before and like their stuff. So I was able to get some cool stuff.
You didn't get any other clothes, did you?
No. A little disappointed with the lack of anime apparel. The stuff that they have there is very stuff that I would never wear in public.
It's a very hot topic.
It's very Hot Topic-esque.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit
Actually,
of a
to be
shame.
fair, like there are like I got this from Hot Topic.
Yeah, some
Like
of it's
some
okay.
stuff is cool because like it doesn't have.
In fact,
like,
I believe they had that shirt there. I was like, cool. Like they have some normal looking stuff.
yeah,
but
they
not,
have some normal shirts, but like the things that just have like a giant like screen printed Naruto like
Yeah.
wallpaper that you can
Yeah,
get on like
and like,
Google
but it's
or
not like I couldn't buy those shirts anywhere else too. Like those shirts are available at like any location that I could think of. And I was like,
Yeah.
it's not. I don't need to buy those there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I think it might be the people that sell those shirts are the people with enough money to like bring them to the con or
Yeah.
whatever. So the people that just like make them on Etsy or whatever, it's like not worth it to them to like transport that maybe in bulk.
So that was kind of a disappointment because I did want to buy some cool anime stuff, but not a whole lot there.
Have you heard of
For that.
Redbubble.com?
I have. But yeah. Other than that, a lot of walking around and looking at a lot of artwork and just like a lot of Funko Pop stuff there. Not
Your
my
favorite?
Not my cup of tea, but it's there and it's fine. People like it. I support their likes. And yeah, I don't know. There's other it was cool. I enjoyed it. If I go again, I would probably again only go for one day. I don't know if I need to go for multiple days for.
I think if
ECCC.
next year I'll probably go. I will go. Probably 1 or 2 days. I don't know if it's necessary to go
Yeah.
every single day.
I don't know if I needed to go 2 days, but with the funk, like a big part of my Emerald City Comic Con experience is the Funko exclusives.
Yeah, it helps to go 2 days for that.
Yeah, and
At
the way
least.
that they do that is it's like a random raffle, and you put in all the days that you're going to be at the convention, and then like the more days you go, the more chances you have to win the raffle to get exclusives. So yeah, it behooves me to go more than one day, but I don't need to personally go more than one day.
Yeah. Like if I hadn't gone with you on Sunday, would you have just gone there to go to the raffle thing and then like left, or would you have stayed and just like wandered around again?
I mean, I would have gone on Sunday, but I wouldn't have stuck around for very long at all. I would have just walked around probably one time, like made the rounds, and then leave.
Yeah, but yeah, it was cool. Again, if I like looked at other days ahead of time and like, oh, okay, this day has like this panel that I would see, I would probably go to that. But yeah, overall, but it was still very cool. I liked seeing all that stuff there.
Yeah, it's a good convention. I like some.
It's growing.
There's some parts of it that are definitely better than PAX. Like, there's an objective to the convention, and you can come away with it being like, okay, I got something out of that. Whereas at PAX, you're like, okay, well, I saw visually a fair amount of stuff.
That I will
how much of it was new, or like how much
worth it the time, like
what am I paying to do at PAX? Like, unless you're going to panels or whatever.
Yeah, so. I agree with you. I'm like, at least like at ECC, it was like, oh, like look at this cool stuff. Like I can just buy like some cool things and feel like my ticket was worth the price of admission because I got some cool stuff out of it, and that was worth it for me. Not to say that I didn't get that out of PAX, because I do, but PAX is a little bit different.
Yeah. There is some like feeling of PAX that you can't get at Emerald City Comic Con.
I agree.
For some reason.
I feel like the feeling like in the air of PAX is a little bit more like everyone is there for a singular purpose, and that is because they like video games and they want to be there around video games, and you kind of get that feeling from everyone there. Whereas ECCC is just like,
it's more laid back.
It's more laid back. Yeah, and it's just like, oh, this is like a cool thing, like a
there's
event,
like a weird like. Or not weird. There's like an air of like excitement and like it's like controlled chaos and mayhem at PAX, where it's like there's so much happening like visually and like audibly, and like everyone's kind of like running around and like doing their own thing. There's tons of panels going on. There's parties and all that kind of stuff. So it's super overwhelming, but in a different way. But then with ECC, CCC, there's just like. There's a lot to see and purchase, but it's all like controlled in a different way.
Yeah,
like,
and plus
it feels a little more calming.
Yeah, like at PAX, like if you're like, oh, like in Monster Hunter or whatever, when I went there and waited in that line, like everyone there was like super into like, oh yeah, like except for like the one guy who apparently like I remember he came from Detroit and was just like, yeah, I was just gonna sit in line for Monster Hunter. I was like, dude, you wasted 3 hours of your life for this, like, you've never even played a Monster Hunter game.
Yeah.
Doing this. But like most of the people there were like playing like Monster Hunter on their DS and like in like to the game. I was like, oh, like super excited for it. I was like, okay, that's like a cool thing to be part of, and like everyone was just talking about it. Whereas like there aren't lines at ECC, like you're just going around and buying stuff or looking at artwork and books and merchandise.
Like I think the only thing
thing
that would really compare to PAX would be like maybe like San Diego Comic-Con or something like that, where it has a similar feel to it. Or like when I went to E3, we were in line for what were we playing? I think it was Evil Within 2, I want to say. Like, it wasn't playable at the time, but they had like this like house that they set up that you would walk through, and it gave you like, there was like exclusive videos and gameplay and stuff, and it was like more of like an experience that you wait for. And while we were waiting, there were these guys in line next to us who like I forget how we brought it. Was like one of our t-shirts or something, or whatever it was. Someone was like started talking to us, and then we were like, oh, so where are you guys from? Like, because E3 is like a big thing, and especially this year since it was open to the public, and they're like, oh, we're from London. And so they flew all the way from London just to go to E3, and like that was cool because they like were just as big of nerds as us, and it was just we were like had a similar connection in the fact that we both really wanted to see stuff from like Evil Within or like Wolfenstein or whatever it was. So that kind of experience is something you can only get at PAX or like maybe ECC, but not to the same extent. Like, you're not going to be in a situation where you'd be talking to a stranger like at one of these things. Maybe if you're like in line buying like a comic next to someone and like you bring up a conversation about something, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's like that you can't have those same experiences. It's that the people are more varied at Comic-Con than they are at PAX. And I feel like the people kind of at PAX, in my opinion, are kind of cooler, whereas the people at Comic-Con are like kind of lame sometimes. Like Doctor Who fans, man, not the best people.
Hate every Doctor Who fan. Rick and Morty fans, get the fuck out.
Rick and
like
Morty,
that
oh
too.
A lot of
God.
Rick and Morty's there.
There's like these fandoms that are like conglomerating
Yeah.
onto the con, and like, yeah, it's kind of annoying. There's not like, BioShock fans. What lamos. Like, most people are just, gamers. They're not like a fan
Yeah,
of
that's
like
what I
one
mean. It's
certain
more of like a
thing.
singular like mindset of like, oh, look at all like everyone there is a gamer and like and like that's a cool thing to be a part of. Whereas everyone at Comic-Con is just a nerd,
Yeah.
and there's no like defining trait. We're
Yeah,
all
it's just
nerds
like
there.
but that's also kind of the cool part that I like.
Yeah, and it's still
like
cool.
about it,
Like
is
it's
that,
still a very inclusive thing, but it's a
sure,
little
like
bit different.
you could have like you could go to that's kind of the cool part about ECC, CCCCC, because you could go just for Doctor Who maybe, and maybe they have a cool like maybe fucking I don't know like David Tennant.
David Tennant was there this year.
Sure,
yeah.
so he's there and like everyone brings their fucking time sticks or whatever, and they're like David Tennant.
Yeah,
Can you tell that none of us are a fan of Doctor Who?
I don't have anything against Doctor Who. I just know literally nothing about it. Everyone crams into their phone booth, and they hang out with David Tennant or whatever,
their
and that's
time
great.
booth.
And then there's that little robot that goes around.
And there's a spin.
It's like an
Bernie.
R2D2, except not.
but it's shitty. Or
But it's British.
or maybe like people go there just to see like Felicia Day or something, or they're really into like tabletop games and they spend all their time on like the fucking like 17th floor or whatever in the basement where it just has like all the cool D&D stuff or like all the board games or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you can go there and just buy like sick artwork. You can buy like if you're me, you just go to that one corner on like the 4th floor, I think, where it has that anime booth with a bunch of cool anime figurines, and I buy like a Chie figurine or something.
There was a stand
It's
there.
not that
specific.
it's not that specific.
There was a stand there that had a lot of anime figurines.
They're always
on
there, and they have them on
It's
top
the
of
one.
It's
You guys
the-
are talking about the same.
It's the one, and like that's where they have the keyblades and
Yeah, it's
like
pretty
all
cool.
this stuff. Look,
I didn't buy any of those
I
figurines.
always
but
buy a figure from that place when I go there, and they're at PAX too sometimes. So that's cool.
They're probably
but
at SoccerCon. I know they're at SoccerCon.
they were at SoccerCon.
Yeah.
That's their home.
They live there.
Is SoccerCon the next con that we'll be reviewing?
SoccerCon
Yes.
SoccerCon is pretty cool.
Do we know when SoccerCon is? This month.
April, I think,
Okay.
or May.
I don't like how you have to purchase a membership. I'll hold it against them.
It's kind of cool though because you get your name printed on it, and look.
You're a
If anyone,
card-carrying member.
if anyone ever doubts that you're a weeb,
That
present
was-
your SoccerCon.
Yeah, that was what I
ID.
was going to say, is that I don't want there to be evidence.
Yeah.
I don't know who I said this to. I think it was you guys. It's like, I don't want there to be a paper trail of me being into
liking
anime.
anime.
Dude, so my friend that I went to E3 with, I was hanging out with him one day, and this was like the weekend of SoccerCon, and one of his friends had flown in from New York to go to SoccerCon, but he had to leave for his flight like the next morning, like I think it was like a Sunday or whatever, the last morning or last day of SoccerCon, and he had to leave super early. So he's like, "Well, I just have this badge, like I don't know what to do with it," and this was at like. I was hanging out with him at like 11 p.m. or something like that, and there was no way he was going to sell it at that point. So he's like, "You can just have it if you want." I didn't know who this guy was, so it was super nice. And he gave me his badge, but like it had his like his name on it and like his
Yeah.
picture. So like when I like presented it to get into the con, I just held like my thumb over the picture and just like, or I had it like in a little like lanyard thing, and I was just holding it, and it said like his name was like Seth or something, or like some like Sam or something like that. And it was just a completely different name. Like I had no way of proving,
became
like,
someone else for a
yeah, I
weekend.
pretty much like assumed his identity to get into SoccerCon. It was really weird.
And it worked.
It worked fine. And SoccerCon's pretty cool. It's extremely niche. Like
It's very anime.
it's not like ECC, CCC, or PAX where you can be like, I've played a video game before, or like I've read a comic before,
Yeah.
or maybe not even. At here, it's like you're like in the trenches of animeism.
Yeah.
And it's
I went 1 year.
it's cool, but it's pretty intense.
Yeah. I would like to see it just for the experience of seeing it.
It's neat. A lot of cosplay. That's the one where all
Yeah.
the cosplay comes out, and that looks really cool.
I bet. A lot of Naruto's. I'm sure.
There's a lot of
Rick and Morty.
There's a lot of Akatsuki robes.
Of course, there was a lot of cosplay at ECCC as well, but
A lot of straight up furries at ECCC.
a lot of just full suited
Dude,
furries.
I would
Excuse
buy
me.
I would buy a
Fursuiters.
fursuit and wear it, but they're like $600. So
Listen, you looked into it. You're very excited about possibly purchasing a
dude,
fursuit.
something about it seems, especially after seeing that Tide Pod picture, that was a nice fursuit, dude. That looks really good.
All right.
No, but I was like, what if I just bought one of these and wore it? And then I was like, I don't want to go. Look, if you're gonna do that, no half measures.
Dude, no one just says, "What if I just bought a fursuit and wore it?" It's like you're obviously a furry at that point.
I
Like,
mean,
just admit
maybe,
it,
but like,
or-
no, but
You're willing to put top dollar into this.
no, but that's the thing.
Not
I'm,
that
I'm
top
not
dollar.
though.
Yeah.
Like, if
Not premium dollar.
I was thinking to myself, I'm
Primo
like, if I'm gonna do
$4.
this, there's no half measures. I'm not walking around with a fucking tail only. That's the lame.
I
That's
hate
lame.
that.
Some
I'm
people,
not doing that.
some people do the thing where they buy just like the head and like
No.
arm pieces and leg pieces because they're wearing like a
And then
shirt and jeans.
yeah,
or
they're
something.
wearing what you're wearing exactly
Yeah.
right now.
So it
that
looks like
exact
they're just
outfit.
wearing like it looks like potentially underneath those clothes it could be.
is a human.
Well, no, it looks like it could potentially be a furry, but
A
it's
dog.
just you're just wearing jeans.
Yeah,
Like, okay,
and a
so
t-shirt.
That's whatever, but like no half measures. If I'm gonna
go
go in,
all
I'm
the
gonna
way.
wear the whole fursuit. I'm not gonna spend $4,000 on it.
Yeah, a lot of fursuits there, I will say.
So there's that.
But yeah, overall, it was a fun experience.
Look, when in Rome,
Yeah,
when in SakuraCon, you're a furry.
I made sure to wear my Gundam shirt, which I felt like was an appropriate use of that shirt. Did get a couple
Yeah.
people go, "Hey, cool shirt, man." I was like, "Hey, thanks, man."
What was it?
My Gundam shirt.
The one that I told you about.
Yeah. In fact, someone was like, "Hey, where'd you get that shirt?" And I forgot the website. I was like, "Oh, like I could look it up right now. I don't remember the website. I'm very sorry." And like, "Oh, it's okay."
Yeah, she was so mad that
She
you
was
didn't have
very
that.
upset that I didn't tell her that where that website was.
Look,
and
you're
I
lucky it's
regret
so
it.
hard to get a gun to the con, or she would have pulled it on you.
I imagine so. But yeah, overall, very cool.
Nice.
We forgot to mention the most important part. We did go to the Ultimate Star Wars Experience, a select event held at the Comic-Con.
What?
Event.
Okay,
I didn't hear about this.
so in I don't know how widespread this is, but there's something called the 501st Legion, which is an expert cosplay
Yeah, I know.
group
I know.
of Star
I'm
Wars.
very
They
aware of
design. I'm explaining to the audience. They design like high quality recreations of all the Star Wars costumes, and then go out to events and stuff like that, and like raise money for charity and things of that nature. And every year at Emerald City Comic Con, they have a little, basically photo op and kind of little experience where you can go through these little sets, take pictures, talk to the people of the 501st Legion, and do some little fun activities and donate to little charities.
Good.
And I've done it before. It's not the worst thing. There's some okay photo ops.
Yeah.
This year it wasn't good.
It wasn't great.
First of all, we had to wait for
So-
a second.
So it wasn't the Ultimate Star Wars experience.
It was not,
No.
which is hilarious.
It was a
that
Star
sign
Wars experience.
That sign was probably the coolest thing there.
Listen, the outfits that they had there, the costumes were very cool.
Yeah, up to par as usual.
Look, they always go in with the level of quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We knew it was a problem when Kyle went up to take his picture on the speeder bike, and then the guy was like, "Yeah, so the rule is that you can't put your leg over the speeder bike.
Yeah.
It has to be your legs both have to be on one side towards the camera. So you have to be riding side saddle on the freaking speeder bike. Like,
bizarre.
why even
Yeah.
have you take a picture if it's gonna be that?"
He did say exactly. It's like there's rules for adults. Adults
Oh,
can't
yeah.
put like their leg
The
over
kids
both
are allowed
sides.
to,
I was
for
like,
some reason.
What? Like,
Why?
I have no idea. They didn't make it clear. I was just like, oh, okay. never mind then. Like, I'm cool. I'll
Yeah.
just go.
And
What, so you're gonna look like fucking Marnie riding?
Yes,
Marnie.
100%.
We
are out of here.
We are out of here. That's what you said when you walked away from me.
That's right.
But yeah, it was weird.
That's so.
And it was like it was set up more like a walkthrough exhibit than before, so you kind of were forced into like each of the
like you
individual
were
booths.
funneled through. The,
Yeah.
Yeah, like the people at the booths were like looking at you like expectantly, like, "You gonna talk to me?" And so that was just so awkward. And so we basically beelined to the exit after that. There is like a cool thing for kids. Most of that stuff is really cool for kids, but
Yeah.
there is a cool thing for kids where the really good like stormtrooper.
Where was this?
It's in the lower level, like near the like tabletop stuff.
Oh, okay. Was this where the Rocket League tournament was?
Around that. Yeah,
like
it's like lower, yeah.
Yeah.
But two guys dressed up as stormtroopers are being shot. Like, you can pay money to shoot Nerf darts at them, and then it actually sticks to them, which is kind of cool. So, yeah,
they like play
that's
it pretty well. They're like, oh, like they're
Yeah,
pretending
they're
like they're
like,
getting
"Oh!"
shot and stuff. Like, it's funny.
so that's really good for kids, but we're not kids.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
That sounds like it could be, for youngins.
I would even I would do it if it was just like sitting there and I could just like shoot a shot, just like bah!
But you're not paying $25 to do it.
It was $20
Yeah, it was
for 50 shots.
$20 for 50 shots or $10 for like 10 or something like that.
And 50 shots, that's a lot of shots to shoot like with a Nerf gun at someone. You're going to be there for a while shooting those.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long time.
Like,
You're gonna get some quality footage out of that.
I mean, at a certain point, you have to be like, all right, I think I'm done shooting this guy. It's like, well, you still have 25 shots left, bud. It's like, well, I'm done. Like,
He's
tired.
dead.
I'm tired of shooting this guy.
Look, he's dead.
I got him.
So, yeah, that was an experience. It wasn't the ultimate Star Wars experience, but it was one of them.
Like it was billed to be.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, because that experience has evolved over the years, and it like the first time we went to it, it was like pretty dang cool, and then it's like kind of gotten they haven't changed anything, and then this year, like, the way they set it up was annoying to us, because we just want to do like a passive experience, and they made it into like
I felt uncomfortable
active.
with the amount of like people there, or just like crowding around. It's just very like awkward, but it was still like the sets that they had up, like the speeder bike they had was really cool looking, but I would have rather just like walked up to it and looked at it and like I'm like, oh, this is like a cool little thing, but
Like as if it was like a museum.
Yeah, or something like that, you know. But it wasn't really like that, so bit of a shame, but it was fine. Actually, it soured the entire experience.
Look, you ruined your week.
I'm never going back to ECCC
ever again. Yeah, no.
Cool.
Overall,
my
a cool
God.
experience. All right, shall we move on
Sure thing.
to movies? Every week, we watch a movie that we pulled out of a bag. Last week, or actually the week before, we pulled Seven Samurai, a movie that we didn't look much up about, because had we looked it up, we would have realized it was a 3.5 hour long movie.
Epic.
An
3.5 hour long epic.
Listen, ain't nobody got time for a 3.5 hour movie, so instead we've opted to pull another movie. We watched A Scanner Darkly.
I'm sorry to anyone that may or may not have watched Seven Samurai.
So we are gonna watch Seven Samurai at some point, though, right?
I suppose.
Yeah, after I carve out half my
Like we
day.
have to figure out time. Yeah. So to be fair, this was just because of logistics. Like, look, some might say that we backed down. I wouldn't. I would say that we are working adults, and we don't have time to watch a 3.5 hour movie and then record starting at midnight. It's not gonna happen.
We don't have to defend ourselves, okay? We made the decision. People will live with it. We will watch Seven Samurai at some point.
I need to clear my conscience.
Okay, it's fine. Your conscience is clean.
All right.
We did pull A Scanner Darkly, and we did watch that instead. And we will be pulling another film out of another film on the Wacky Film List, the list of movies we have set up on our website. You can look at it there. We watch one every week. We'll be pulling another one. Will we pull another one, or should we watch Seven Samurai?
We need to honestly.
Should we do a
figure
double header?
I don't
We're
know.
not doing
double-
two
double
movies.
show- two show-
because
double show.
Seven Samurai is essentially 2 movies already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, 3.5 hours long. That's a long time. That's a long.
It's a long movie.
That is the longest movie that I will have
Ever
ever
made.
seen outside of like an extended Lord of the Rings cut. Like honestly, so that's a long ass movie.
We should just say that we'll watch that until further notice.
Okay. But let's talk about A Scanner Darkly,
Sure thing.
a movie by Richard Linklater,
It's a Linklater joint.
School of Rock fame, some other famous.
Boyhood.
He also did Dazed and Confused, another wacky film pick.
Oh,
He has some eclectic picks.
he's batting about 50-50 for me right now. So
Yeah,
any movie by him, I will be uncertain about.
unsure of. Yeah.
They're all wildly different in subject.
That is true, and even just like designs, like look at Dazed and Confused, School of Rock, and A Scanner Darkly. None of those movies are even remotely similar. Like in any
I feel
form.
like the vibe of like Dazed and Confused and School of Rock are like mildly similar.
Like
the way
sure.
it looks, and
you
like,
could more easily compare those two than you could A Scanner Darkly.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
any
this is
movie.
the most unique film of all time.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So, because we put this on short notice, I'm sure not a lot of people know about a scan, or you might have seen A Scanner Darkly. It is animated. Is the film animated? Like,
Looks like they filled in. They drew a picture of every frame, like frame by frame
Okay.
through this thing.
Yeah, like it's definitely was filmed.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. At first glance, when I saw like trailers, this was granted a while ago when it came out. I was like, is this movie like cell shaded? But when you look at it, when like the first scene, you're like, oh, this is like a bizarre like effect of the movie, and it's actually kind of cool.
It looks more like this is gonna make it sound really cheap and bad, but it looks kind of like when you do like photo booth or whatever on the Mac, or like Skype or something. And you're like, oh, there's this effect on it, and then like you're looking at your face move around, and it's like making weird effects. It looks kind of like that, but it's
know
more
what it is?
it's more tastefully done, and it's also done for the entire movie, so you kind of get used to it after a while.
Yeah.
But
It's actually if you've seen the Take On Me video when he turns into a painting. It's like
that's
a
actually
much more sophisticated version of that.
yeah, that's a somewhat good comparison.
Yeah,
They probably did it the same way, just like paint every frame of.
Yeah, but this is like
footage.
this is far more fluid than it actually looks
more
pretty
cartoony.
good.
Yeah, it's definitely a cartoonish element to it at some points.
When I saw this like clips from this movie, I knew it was about drugs, and I thought, or I knew it had something to do with drugs, and I thought this was about or I thought the movie had this filter on it, or like this kind of thing when they were on drugs.
Yeah,
And I thought it was going to be like a dream sequence or something where like this happens like every time they do drugs, it looks all weird, but then the entire movie is like that, and I was like, it's a bold take, it's a bold move,
it's a bold choice for sure.
it is. Did it pay off? Did we like this movie?
I don't know if I liked it per se. I do think it was interesting. It's not. I didn't think it was a terrible movie. There are parts where I was just like, like what are we doing here? But honestly, I feel like most of that, because the movie is kind of a drug-based movie. The setup is that the main character, Keanu Reeves, is an undercover cop trying to bust some bad boys doing some substance D, which is a good name for a drug. I feel like.
Yeah, that's an interesting name.
But yeah, it's kind of his journey through his undercover experience, which is also just his life. It's very unclear as to like the motivations of him, because he's constantly losing his mind due to the drugs. I felt like.
Yeah,
I felt like that was why some of those scenes of like, there's a lot of scenes of him and like Robert Downey Jr. and Woody Harrelson just having conversations that don't pay off or do really anything, but it's just them just like shooting the shit with each other.
It's like
Just
Boyhood.
being extremely just high and just like they say some of the stupidest things I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
it's
silly.
like if 3 people on acid did an improv scenario.
Repeatedly.
For
That's right.
Yeah, actually, and it's man, I don't know. This I said this jokingly before we started the podcast, but I said worst film on the Wacky Film List. Not worst film, like it's a well-made movie and like it's well acted. I think like Robert Downey Jr. was pretty like legitimately funny, I thought, and like I was gonna say like he's one of those actors where I always see Robert Downey Jr. when I watch one of his roles. So like it wasn't very immersive in that sense, but I thought he was funny and he like played it very cartoon-esque, which is great. And like Woody Harrelson he's typically pretty good. He plays a great like stoner like conspiracy theorist guy or whatever. And like,
They're all a little bit conspiracy theorist
they're all
people.
like just fucking ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
those like memes or those vines where it's like hits blunt and says something. It's just like a collection of that for like an hour at least. But yeah,
But it's not like it's not humorous.
No, it's
so
not.
much. It's like them like being serious and then us taking like black humor out of it.
yeah, and like,
Like them having
is,
serious
It is
discussions.
kind of just sad. Like it's
Yeah.
a little bit depressing and it's very dark. This movie, it's probably my least favorite film on the list because of the way I felt while I was watching it. I didn't feel good when I was watching this
Yeah.
movie. Something about it just felt really strange, and like the music is very like I don't know. It felt like
It was a fever dream.
it honestly was, but not in the sense of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something where like you are kind of an outsider looking in to like this weird experience. It's kind of like you felt like you were in this weird experience with these characters, but nothing was good. Nothing was like positive about anything that was happening. Like you're kind of just watching the downfall of these people's lives, and like I don't know.
This is
I just didn't feel well.
This
while I was
film
watching it.
is a modern art piece. I wouldn't be surprised if I walked into the Guggenheim in New York and saw this film playing on one of the monitors.
Yeah.
Because it's like a piece of art, like fine art. Like it's not meant to be consumed like as a regular movie.
Yeah.
Like, you're meant to think about it and like experience it and then be like, wow, that was interesting.
Yeah, and
but I don't know what happened.
I felt like
Yeah.
that, and like you said, like, I instead of feeling like an outsider looking in like Texas Chainsaw, I felt like I was part of it. Like that's what it felt like. I was like, I feel like I'm on drugs with these people, and like
That's what I mean.
You can constantly tell in the movie like the constant slide of like Keanu Reeves' character is mostly from his like perspective of just like, this decline of his personality. It's like this is like getting incredibly just like dark.
It's
and
really
depressing.
yeah.
Like it's a little weird. Like it's a sad movie. I feel like, and like it doesn't really have a resolution except for kind of the end is like okay, they're setting up some sort of like purpose at the end here, but it was just like this is like in a way that is a good movie to me, that it was successful, I could be like I kind of feel like that I kind of felt like I got what the director or whatever was trying to make me feel like. It's like I can put myself in this place and I feel like I'm experiencing this stuff, and that's cool. I don't know if I really liked all of it. The movie itself doesn't really have like
There's not a lot of entertainment value. Like,
No.
Not entertainment value in the sense of like a normal movie or like a normal
like
film.
the plot.
It's like,
you can't tell what's gonna happen. Like there are some plot threads like he's trying to figure out this, but nothing ever comes of it. Nothing ever
there's also
gets
no
resolved.
clear goal. There's
Yeah.
no clear like
And again,
journey for him to take. It's kind of just like be undercover and tell us about your friends doing drugs. Even they don't know that it's his friends until like it's revealed or whatever. But like it's just him supposed to be like I guess the goal would be to like bust like the drug runners.
They're
or
kind
the
of
drug
they're
dealers
setting
or
that up as like
something?
you need to like bust, but then also have a point where it's like you're trying to bust yourself. It's like what is happening here? Like this is a bizarre like chain of events going on here. It's a little confusing for me. I was like, well, how do they not know who he is? Because if he's working there, like the technology I thought was kind of cool. He like works in like a undercover agency that just gives him like these weird bodysuits that just morph him so they can't tell who he is. Like okay, that's kind of a neat thing.
It's interesting that he is working for the organization and not even the people in the organization know who he is.
Yeah.
Like his boss doesn't know who he is. He's just talking to like a faceless like mask, and it's just like, or like a weird like shape shifting. Like that's probably part of the reason they did it in this art style, is because there's no way you could do that.
Yeah.
That like effect.
Well, you could have done the CGI, but it wouldn't have held up. Like at least this
would've
movie,
looked
like
so
it
weird.
holds up because of its weird art style, which I think is actually a pretty cool like side effect of having a strange art like that.
Yeah, I don't think the art was a gimmick. I don't think it was ever a point where it was like, look, we're in a cartoon. It was kind of like the movie is so fucking weird and like exaggerated in every way that it only makes sense that it looks like this. So
I was gonna say that this there's kernels of like a really good regular movie in this movie. One of them is the art style, because the art style kept me interested throughout this whole movie. If it was just regularly filmed, I would have checked out like almost immediately. Like I could not care less about the stuff that was happening in the movie if it was like filmed normally. But that like art style is just so interesting to look at. Like the whole movie, while you're looking at it, you're like, wow, this is really like, some people put a lot of work into this. So yeah, that was really cool. And then the other kernels were like the idea of the surveillance, people being able to see everything and like, okay, we're trying to like figure out where this call is coming from, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then once they trace the call, they can like hit the button to like put an arrest warrant on this person like immediately. So yeah, that was cool, because it was like one little scene. It was like, oh, like this is setting up like a cool, interesting idea here, and then they never really touch on that particular thing very much.
That was kind of like what I was like, there's a bunch of cool ideas in this movie. None of them are really like executed on, but they set up the idea. I was like, okay, like that like that like scene where they're like going through the like computer, like, oh, okay, here's him tracking. Or the other scene I really liked was when he gets taken into like the like psych lab evaluations, which really did remind me of Blade Runner. Like that sequence, I was like, oh, this is like a weird like Blade Runner's like AI test going on here, where they're like testing him with the like Rorschach-esque test going on. It's like, oh, this is like a cool little thing. Like,
yeah, there were elements in there where you could definitely.
oh my God.
What happened?
We're
fine.
good.
I can't install a security update on my PC, but it's okay.
Go ahead, Ben.
What was I gonna say? Oh, there were elements in here that really, really clicked with me. Where I was like, okay, this is definitely the source material of this was definitely written by the same guy who wrote the source material for Blade Runner, because there are some, and probably in the book there's more, but there's themes of like, I don't know, it just kind of like fucks with your head a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just themes where you're like, is this guy like all here? Like, is this?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like kind of makes you question like, there's a lot of psychological like issues going on with people, or like, is this happening?
Or is he like
this,
hallucinating it?
Yeah,
like,
is this real? Like what we're seeing right now in Blade Runner, it's more of like, is this a human or not, or is this a human like element or not? But this is more of like, is this happening? What does it mean that this is happening? Like, does it matter that all kinds of different questions where it definitely makes you think a little more about like the film itself, rather than like beat you over the head with.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't just drop a bunch of little things like Nolan-esque things where it's like, if you're having a conversation with someone, you're not going to be like, so do you think that like he was on drugs or something? It's just like,
it's pretty clear cut.
It's pretty clear cut, but like the things that they're showing you, like it's open to interpretation. Like what he's actually, it's hard to explain. The way that they were talking about it is like saying that the right side of his brain was trying to overcompensate for the fact that the left side of his brain was like not functioning well or something like that. So there's a bunch of things that you can do where if you go back and watch the movie, you can be like, oh, this is happening because like his brain is starting to shut down or something like that. But it's not overtly shown or told. So yeah, there's something interesting with that where like they plant the seeds of a lot of little like weird questions, but they don't really dwell on it too much.
Yeah. That did keep me intrigued enough to be like, okay, is he just gonna like completely slide down the hill and just go like completely insane at one point?
He kind of
does,
did, yeah.
But it's like, okay, the ending is put in such a way that it felt almost like that movie probably could have had another 30 minutes to like set that like reasoning up for their like weird revolution that's happening, because like the whole point of that, from what I understood of the movie then, is that at that point they had him like a sleeper agent to try and take down this corporation that's selling like the cure to this drug that they're also manufacturing. It's like, okay, that's a neat like corporate.
Well, that's what they set up with what's her
thing.
name, Winona Ryder's character.
Yeah,
Donna.
but at the very end of the movie.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, okay, like obviously at the end of the movie he makes mentions like, oh, I'm gonna show this to like my friends at Thanksgiving or whatever. It's like, okay, he's gonna show that flower to them. They're gonna take down the corporation. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it didn't earn that moment because it just happened, like, so fast at the end of the movie that it was just kind of like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it was kind of like we need
there.
to throw in some sort of, like,
but, yeah.
Like, we need to
plot
tie
device.
Some threads.
Yeah, I was like, okay, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm interested in I don't know if the source material is called A Scanner Darkly. It probably is. I don't know if I'll read it, but I'm interested in learning about
it,
like, what its themes are and how it compares to the movie. Because from what I understand, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, the source material for Blade Runner, from what I gathered, it captures a lot of the same themes really well, and like, of course, that movie is revered for a lot of reasons, but from what I understand, it actually nails a lot of like what made that book special.
Yeah.
I don't know if this movie does that at all. Like, you never really hear this in the same conversation as like, oh my god, one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time, Scanner Darkly. I don't think you'll really hear that, but it's certainly it leaves an impression one way or another, whether it's the art style or the depressing nature of the movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons that people will probably remember this movie, but
yeah, I was gonna say that the most compelling thing about it was the visuals for me, and I was hoping that there would be a scene where it wasn't in the cartoony nature, and I feel like they could have maybe done where they're having that talk at the diner. That could have possibly not been in the cartoony thing, because they're kind of in the real world to some degree.
That was what I was thinking. I was like, oh, like they're thinking that way because they're taking the drugs, so it'd be cool if at the end of the scene when like he's like when he's like being detoxed at the facility, it's like, oh, now he sees the real world or something. But it really doesn't ever do that.
Or maybe some like Twilight Zone twist with like the real world,
but
or something
like it never gets that.
I thought we were getting into that towards the end when they were explaining to him that like what was happening to his brain, and like when the guy was like, well, you got addicted to drugs, bud, and like all that kind of stuff, when like basically his entire life was falling apart essentially at the end. I thought that there was going to be some sort of twist where, like, yeah, when he was off the drugs or when he was, like, sober or whatever you want to call it, and not, like, undercover anymore, he would, like,
Snap
some
back
sort
to
of,
the
like,
real
veil
world.
would be lifted, and he'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, everything's all chill. Like, I was only super depressed and my life was falling apart because I was on drugs, and then, like, maybe he's in, like, modern day or something weird where it's like it looks normal, but no, it's just the entire
Yeah.
movie is so strange.
I was hoping for that scene, but it never.
I
came.
thought it was coming when they started, like, it was basically like a Shutter Island-esque scene where they're like, bud, you're crazy. Like, when they explained to Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie that, like, he's,
Yeah.
like, a fucking crazy man. Like, I thought it was going to happen like that, and then it was going to be a whole other type of movie at the end, but it wasn't really, so. It would have been interesting, though.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, but what I was going to say is that, like, my last thing that I'll say is that I went into this conversation thinking that I was going to hate on the movie. Not because I didn't dislike it that much, but it had me feeling some type of way, and I was a little angry when I finished the movie because I didn't, like, feel satisfied in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But now that we've been talking about it, this movie has its merits.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a fantastic movie. I think it's one of my it's not one of my favorite movies on the list for sure, but not bad.
Yeah.
Talking about it a little more made me realize I do like parts of this.
So, what score would you give it?
I don't know. Out of 10, I'm gonna go with
Out of 37, please.
out of 37. God damn, I'm terrible at math. Let's go with a
40.
Let's go with a 6. There's 17.
Okay, well, that's not great, but
It's not great. No, I don't know. I'd probably give it like a. I give it a C.
fair.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, somewhere in the 7s,
Yeah.
7.5, 7. It's there's a lot of things I really like about it. I think as a whole, it's a little janky. It's a little disheveled. But the art style for sure, and some of the things that they hint at with the
Yeah.
themes and like the, which is why I'm curious about the source material. Some of like the over like arcing plot points are interesting to me, but as a movie, I don't know if it's especially entertaining, and I don't really like the way that it made me feel. So I'm gonna go
It's not
with
very consumable.
no, it's not, and like I think that's part of its charm in a way, that like it's kind of like this weird, like essentially art project. Like you kind of nailed it in the Guggenheim. Like it is kind of something that you digest, and then you're left kind of like however you felt watching it is fine because it's an art piece and
Yeah.
it's supposed to elicit some type of reaction or emotion, which I guess all movies are supposed to do, but this does it in a much different way than something like even compared to like another art-esque film like I don't even know what I would compare to this. There's nothing really that you can compare this to.
Yeah.
Maybe like Requiem for a Dream is one that I've heard where it's like
Sure.
that's more about drugs and addiction and about how like people's lives are falling apart and how like they're like intertwined and all that kind of stuff, and I'm sure that'll be an experience too. But this is more of like an actual weird like trip that you go on, and
Yeah.
then when you're done, you're left to kind of just like you're left to your own devices to figure out what it meant and how you felt, which is interesting in its own way. But as a movie, I'm gonna give it a C.
All right. Coulter?
I was also going to say this was one of the few times during one of these movies that I felt like I may have walked out of the theater at a certain point.
Yeah.
When they were like at home, I think they were looking at the car, and then it was the part with the hammer and the like
Yeah.
the rock and stuff. That was like a culmination of after they had already done the whole thing with the car and like, oh, I left a note on the house. They go in the house. That was just so like my brain was like in
Like,
pain
what
watching
are they
that.
doing?
Yeah,
Why are they
it
doing
was
this?
I
so
hate
weird.
this.
Yeah,
it
there
was
was-
like hanging out with like mentally insane people, and I was like, please help me. Someone take me out of this.
But that's the other
So-
thing where it's like, that's the experience part of it, where you're
Yeah.
just like, so like
Yeah.
similar to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it's sort of a fever dream, and you feel like you are so far removed from it because it's like they're in Texas. It's like a weird film grain over the movie, and like it's just so fucking crazy. Like these people are screaming and yelling, and you're like, okay, well, I'm obviously not like you're immersed. but it's
It's
more
more
of
of
like
a
a
meta experience where they're like literally hitting you with as much negative stimuli as possible.
yeah, exactly, and
in
you're like,
Texas
and
Chainsaw.
you're just fully aware of the fact that you're like in some kind of weird like hallucination, like weird state. But then in this movie, it's like you really do feel like you are actually losing your mind when you're watching this movie because it's so
Yeah.
fucking weird, and like the sounds and like all the characters, especially Robert Downey Jr. is like always talking, and
I'm
he's
like,
talking
"Stop,
so
please."
fast, and you're like, just shut up! Like I can't pay attention to the scene. So like there's just so many scenes where like it's that type of experience where I felt the same way. I was like, I feel like I'm hanging out with people from like a fucking insane asylum,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be here anymore listening to this.
They say something and it's like, oh, that was an indiscretion, but I'm gonna have to let it pass because it's a movie and I can't control it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, that's another
Oh
indiscretion.
no, it's just happening for an hour and a
It's
half.
endless
Indiscretions.
indiscretions, transgressions over and over.
There's
again.
just, I think I said this multiple times when we were watching it. Like when they would say something, I'd be like, "That's the stupidest fucking thing." Like, they'll just say like something like when they were talking about. Okay, this is what made my brain just melt out of my skull when they were talking about the 18-speed bike.
Oh my
and they were
God.
and they're like, "Wait, this is only a 9-speed bike." And then like at some point in there, they were like, they're like, "No, this is an 8-speed." And then they started talking about how they need to go back and like take back the other gears that they stole from him, and he starts going on about how like they ruined his transaction and like this whole conspiracy theory about how he would go back but they would make him pay for the other gears for his bike. And I was
They're actually going to make me pay for the other.
and he was
gears.
going in with like his weird character that he was doing, and like when I was listening to that, there was part of me that was like, wow, this is great writing, like this is interesting. Like I've never heard a conversation like this before. Even in real life, I've never heard someone say something so just completely nuts. But then it's just at least an hour of them just saying stuff like that, and you're like,
Yeah.
I can't be in the room with these people anymore. Like I need to leave. So yeah, that was, I kind of hijacked your rating, but that's
No,
it's
I
an
brought up like
interesting-
a point. Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting point that you brought up.
Yeah. So I guess I would recommend this film to people that want to expand their mind.
Yeah.
If you go to a modern art museum and you look at those like videos that they show and like weird ass paintings and photographs and stuff, and you think, wow, I want to see more of that, then I guess watch this movie. Also, just the art style alone is worth watching the movie for, I guess. Maybe just watch like clips if you just want to see what the art style looks like. And then, yeah, if you want like an easy to watch movie, absolutely don't watch it. Yeah, if you want like a coherent, like I know what's happening and the plot is going in this direction and I enjoy characters, probably don't watch this.
Don't watch this movie.
In conclusion, it's an art film. If that sounds good to you, watch it.
It's an art film, which we have said about films on this list before, but this
probably the most artistic.
This rings true like no other that we've seen.
It's funny the way you said that. I wish I was going to screenshot a tweet that someone had tweeted a while ago, a few days ago at this point, but it was something like, oh, if you watch or like play something and it doesn't challenge you at all, and it's like something you know you're going to enjoy from like A to B and you're just along for it, that's entertainment. If you watch something or play something that makes you stop and go like, did I really like that? What did I like about that? And why is this like an interesting thing? Then that's art. And like, this is art. This is not entertainment.
Yeah.
Like,
No, this is art in the literal sense
yeah.
of the word.
And so this is a hard movie for me to recommend because I couldn't bring up like one point on it. I was like, that's actually really cool. Other than like, the visuals and some of the like thematic elements of it are pretty neat. But like, as a movie, as a like experience, like, okay, do I want to see how the story ends? I didn't care. Like, it gets interesting at points because the writing gets a little strange with Keanu Reeves, but it doesn't really go anywhere. So I'm gonna give this movie. I'm gonna depart from my usual number scale and give this movie a substance C. And that's it.
Out of 5.
Out of 5.
yeah,
Appropriate for the nonsensical nature of the film.
Yes.
yeah. My last point, that I just thought of when you were saying,
God, hurry up.
when you were saying like that it's art because of what you were saying. That's kind of why I was struggling to even like, I didn't know if I should give it a high grade or even a grade at all, because like it doesn't adhere to this movie dances to the beat of its own drum.
Yeah.
You can't really say like
Yeah.
that it's a, like, if I said it was an A movie, it wouldn't compare at all in any way to any A movie that I've graded before. If I said it was a D movie, it's not a bad movie. it wouldn't be in the same vein as like Meet the Spartans or something like that.
An A movie.
Exactly, but like, I don't know. There's something about it where like I do want to recommend it to people, just because I'm curious to see what they have to say about it. Like this is one of those movies where I want to talk to someone and be like, oh, did you see Scanner Darkly? Like, how did you feel when you watched that movie, or like what did you think about that movie? It's not so much that like we would talk about like our favorite scene, or like, oh, I love the scene with Robert Downey Jr. where he's saying that thing. It's just like, how did you feel when you watched the movie? Like, what was your opinion on like the experience, which is not something that you can say about a lot of movies, and it's definitely not something you can say about movies nowadays.
Sure.
Which is interesting. The most recent movie that I would compare this to, not in any way compared to the movie itself, but in the sense of it being an experience, would be Call Me by Your Name, which is why that was my best picture, because it's something that you can talk to people about, and they'll have a reaction to like the experience of the movie rather than like a specific like, oh my god, that scene with blah blah was crazy. It's like the movie itself was interesting. It's not in any way similar to Scanner Darkly, but that kind of thing is interesting for me for movies. So,
all right.
I hate to draw this out even further. How would you compare this to Donnie Darko?
Donnie Darko is a better movie.
Donnie Darko.
I enjoyed Donnie Darko more, but the visual style of this movie was cooler in my opinion. And if Donnie Darko had that art style, I feel like that could have been lit.
That would have been very cool. But yeah, as a whole movie, Donnie Darko is a much better film than this one is. It has better writing, a better actual coherent story. Characters are more interesting to me. But also, Scanner Darkly is an interesting film. I wouldn't call it entertaining necessarily.
I'm wondering why you brought up Donnie Darko compared to this.
Because it doesn't make any sense, and it's an art film. And it's like, there's like trip type things happening in it.
Yeah.
He literally like looks at a bunny in the mirror and like has conversations with it.
Yeah. I mean,
but even Donnie Darko is a more coherent.
But with Donnie Darko, like
thing.
that's more of like, that's way more of like a movie or like a film than this is.
I mean, to some degree, yeah, but there's like not really a confirmed like plot. Like you have to go online to like figure out the plot of that movie. So, yeah, I think they're comparable, but I get what you guys are saying, and I do think that you're not wrong.
No, it is interesting though, because with Donnie Darko, or with this movie, I don't know, I feel like my brain is fried, honestly, just like just thinking about this movie. But like with Donnie Darko, there's much more. Like I can actually sit down and I can be like, okay, what did we see in Donnie Darko? Like, what is the perceived storyline? What is the perceived timeline of events? And in this movie, it's like you can definitely do that too, but there's so many like seemingly pointless moments that happen with like dialogue between the characters, and like there's just so much being thrown at you, especially visually and audibly. You're just like, I can't process any more information. Like the closest I got to actually getting to a point where I was like, okay, I can sit down and I can actually analyze what's happening, at least with Keanu Reeves, is when they're doing like the evaluations or whatever in the rooms, and you're like, okay, I'm getting a little bit more information about like the point of the movie, or the point of like his character arc. But with everything else, you're like, I don't know what Robert Downey Jr.'s character is doing. I don't know, like, he's all over the board. He's doing drugs. He's like, is he a drug dealer? Is he not? Is he like a conspiracy theorist? Is he working with the government? Like, he's trying to like sell out his friend to the government, and like all kinds of weird shit is happening, and like it just, you can't make sense of a lot of what's happening in this movie. But with Donnie Darko, you can theorize about a lot of things, and most of that is because there's like concrete events that happen that you can reference. Yeah. In my opinion.
I mean, I could like point out like many things that like don't make any sense like within Donnie Darko, but whatever. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I don't know. At least it may not make sense, but it's like a clear thing that you can see, and you're like, okay, I saw like him talking to a bunny in the mirror. But like, I don't know, it's hard to explain what I mean, but like when in this movie, when they're just talking to each other and having conversations about going to steal imaginary gears from the guy who sold him a $50 bike, that stuff is just like so incomprehensible that
I like understood the point of that though. Like, I hate to say I understood that, but
well, they were showing how like
it was just an experience of them like talking and us losing our minds listening to them talk about nothing at all,
and being on that. It was like, that's where I felt like I was on drugs, because that's the exact type of conversation you would have if you're on like substance D, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's my point, is that movie makes you feel like that, which is impressive. It's like, okay, I kind of like get, like, even though what they're saying is completely ridiculous and stupid, you're like, well, it makes sense for them because they're like just high off whatever drug they're doing. Like, it makes sense that they're acting like this in the context of what they're doing, which is a fair thing, I think, that the movie does.
Sure. Can we please stop talking about this? I feel like I'm on drugs again.
We can. Speaking of some of the Oscar stuff, we're not really going to go into it, but Best Picture did go to Shape of Water.
That's right.
Which you did watch.
I did.
Do you have anything to say about it?
Yeah, this was one of the ones that I was more excited to see because I saw a trailer for it when it was way before it came out. Or not way before, whatever, when the first trailer dropped for the first teaser, I saw it. And I thought, okay, Del Toro's doing another movie. That's interesting. I liked Pacific Rim. And then I didn't see Crimson Peak. I think the last movie from his that I really that I really enjoyed was probably Pacific Rim, which was good, but that was a much different, like...
Very similar.
It was like a blockbuster. It was very similar to Shape of Water. No. It's more of
Two
like
mechs fall in love.
a fun... It's
mech
more of
falls
like
in
a
love with a
fun,
giant
like,
kaiju.
action blockbuster movie, which was great. But I like more stuff like Pan's Labyrinth or something where Del Toro is doing like a more like intimate, almost like indie-esque horror movie or like a weird like fantasy movie. And I didn't really know what to expect from this because I didn't watch a lot of the actual like theatrical trailers for it. I saw the very first teaser where they kind of showed like a glimpse of the fish monster or something, and then there was like a narration talking about like a fairy tale and stuff, and so I thought, okay, this is going to be interesting. And then it got huge Oscar buzz. So at this point, the hype was it was out of the water.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Nice.
No, it got 13 Oscar nominations and like pretty much almost every major category. Essentially every major category, which is insane. It pulled a Return of the King, except it didn't win all of them. But it did get nominated in pretty much every big category. And so I watched it with all this hype surrounding it, and I was ready to like it, but I walked away loving it.
Wow. Did you fall in love with the fish man?
That's right. No, that's actually the best part of the movie. It takes a very outlandish and strange concept that could very well come off as like a B movie or like a really cheesy like comic book or like a weird like fantasy-esque like I don't even know, like it could feel just really cheap, but you actually buy the relationship between
Fish and man.
Between fish and woman. Yeah, there's a lot of... I mean, I don't want to, like, spoil anything or go too...
Please don't.
I do want to watch this movie.
No, you guys really should watch this movie. I won't go into any detail, really, but it's interesting because I can see why it won Best Picture, because there's, like, some political stuff in there, or, like, some things that kind of are a commentary on today's society and culture. Without really saying much, the main characters are a black woman, a gay man, a mute woman, and a fish monster. So they're all in some ways like it takes place in the 1950s. So at least 3 out of 4 of those characters are minorities or considered to be outcasts of society. And so there's a lot of interesting kind of discussions and situations where they it's kind of just illustrated how society is treating them and how they're viewed. And then that is kind of the whole thing where like it shows this in all the trailers and stuff, but like she falls in love with this fish man because they see each other as like just what they are. He doesn't see her as a mute, like weird disabled woman, and she doesn't really see him as anything but like just a beautiful creature. And so there's this really interesting love story that happens, and it's totally like, it seems really weird on paper, and like if you pitch this movie to someone or told them like, yeah, go see this movie, this mute woman falls in love with a fish man, they'd be like, that sounds a little bit weird, I don't know about that. But then when you actually watch the movie, it's presented so naturally and so like so well that you can't help but just get on board with it.
I mean, the idea may sound a little preposterous,
It's
but
weird.
it's really not when you think about every other form of media that we look at. It's like, oh, this person falls in love with like an orc lady or an elf lady. It's like, okay, yeah, people fall in love with monsters all the time.
Beauty and the Beast, tale as
Sure.
old as time.
Not that I care about this that much, but when Legend of Zelda came out, people were just fucking head over heels for Link shipping with whatever that fish dude Sidon.
Prince Sidon.
I was like,
yeah.
okay, yeah, sure, and like, wow, of course, like,
Not even his actual love interest within the,
no.
within the
No,
canon.
but people take the shipping to a new level with
I was like-
Zelda of all things with Legend of Zelda.
I feel
It's
like
gonna happen.
with quick tangent. I feel like with shipping, it should be you like trying to predict like their relationship within the show. Isn't that what it's supposed to be? Because
No.
your relationship.
Shipping is where you take two characters that you want to be in a relationship and imagine a relationship that they'd be in, or what it would be like if they were in a relationship.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I would really say it's literally looking at a show and be like, oh, these two characters should be together, and
Like-
it's literally
But
like your
like-
own fan
It's
fiction.
literally like Overwatch, like being like, well, I really think that Farah and Widowmaker are like in love. Or
Yeah,
like
Farah and
or, like, I
Widowmaker-
don't know, like
shut up.
McCree,
But you're, like, basing it on
McCree
the
and
canon.
Hanzo. McHanzo is a good example. Like
Sure.
they think that McCree and Hanzo are like gay lovers or something like that,
Yeah.
and they create a whole relationship around like things that they do together and like jokes that they have.
I understand, but like if you have evidence to the contrary, it seems like it shouldn't make sense to ship them because
I mean, it
then
doesn't.
you're
That's
just
the
coming
point.
up with
It's
It's-
never
headcanon.
supposed to make sense.
It is headcanon is what it's relegated to.
Yeah, but you're actively changing things
Yes.
about it to
Yes.
create your own fantasy.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm taking issue with here.
Listen,
It's supposed to be a complete disconnect from,
Yeah.
like a complete disconnect from,
Yeah.
the source material in every way.
Yeah.
It
Go ahead.
usually is.
My point being, it's not a preposterous idea in this day and age because we love everything. It's
Yeah.
great.
But-
Anything is possible.
But yeah, so it's interesting that this and Call Me by Your Name were nominated in the same year, and they were getting a lot of like buzz in the same year because they both are in different ways. They kind of present a very touching and a very real and natural look at just like two like people, or in this case, just two like entities or people or like creatures, if you want to call them that, falling in love with each other. And yeah, it's just really like. It's very touching. It's just a very beautiful film. It's also Del Toro is one of those directors that he wears a lot of his influences on his sleeve. So like with Tarantino, he'll like put music in from like bands that he really likes, even if it won't fit the time period, or like he'll like very directly, like in some ways, like just copy quotes from movies or like from books or like comics that he's read into his films. But Del Toro is like he has a fascination with like old Hollywood, so like 1920s to like, you know, in this era like 1950s is during the Cold War, so it's probably like early 60s at most. I think it's like 62 or something. So he has a lot of elements of like he pays homage to a lot of like classic film tropes and like things like that. So when you're watching this, if you're a fan of film or if you're a fan of
Which I'm not.
well, like in the sense that like he's celebrating it more as like he's looking at like the societal and like cultural impact of
Yeah.
film, and like he puts in little like Easter eggs, and like there's
Caviar, you mean?
yeah, that's right. So I won't spoil it, but there's some scenes in here where you're like, oh man, that's really interesting that it would be in this weird like sci-fi movie or fantasy movie. There's elements of it that feel like a classic, like you feel like you're watching like a classic talkie. Which is so weird because
I
there's like,
watched so many of.
there's like some black and white scenes, like there's just there's a lot of interesting things that happen when you're watching this movie. So I think out of the best picture nominees that I saw everything but Phantom Thread, Darkest Hour, and
The Post.
The Post. Out of the movies that I did see, which were the majority of the ones that were getting the most buzz, or all of the ones really that were getting the most buzz, this was the most like movie-esque out of all of them, where I think anyone could go into this. You don't have to be like an auteur or something to walk in and be like,
What about
like,
Get Out?
actually, Get Out did win Best Original Screenplay, which was a pretty big award for Jordan Peeleman.
You dodged the question.
What do you mean?
You
Oh,
were saying as they.
no, this
basically
is
most
even more of
accessible.
like a movie than this is.
It's a safer
this
pick
is
than Get
definitely
Out.
this is definitely very accessible. I think probably the most accessible movie out of all those. Get Out would be a close second. Actually, they're I don't know. They're
know.
very close to each other in terms of accessibility for like mass audiences. But
One
Yeah.
is about loving a fish monster. One is about a black guy going to see his girlfriend's family. I wonder which is more relatable.
no, I know, but this is more of like, it's hard to explain, but like the way it's like presented and the way it's filmed, like you're never like, I don't know. There's a lot of symbolism in Get Out. There's a lot of like weird, like it's an A24 movie, so it has that weird kind of like indie feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
With this one, it's just like it kind of feels like it's just like a blockbuster movie, but it has the heart of an indie film, which is what I liked about it. Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's not my personal pick for Best Picture. I would still say Call Me by Your Name is my personal pick, but this is pretty damn good. It's up there.
All right.
I think you guys would really enjoy it.
I think I would too,
Yeah.
if I ever find the time to watch it.
I have it. If you guys want to watch it, I'd watch it again.
I don't want to touch physical media, so
I have it on iTunes.
I don't want to touch it on iTunes either.
Okay.
Listen, were you left wanting gear more?
Well done, Colton.
Not bad. Actually, I was really happy with his helmet of this movie. I thought the writing was great. There was great cinematography. There was very clear elements where, I think Del Toro at one point said that he wanted to remake or do some sort of like homage to a Creature from the Black Lagoon, but he wanted it to be like focus more on a love story and like have elements of like more kind of like fantastical elements to it outside of the fact that it's like this weird creature.
Yeah.
And there are definitely elements in here where you kind of just feel like you're whisked away. He called even in the beginning, like the narration of the opening credits, which the opening credits are stunning. There is some really cool set design that they do. Like the narration is sort of like the opening crawl. Yeah, the John Williams score to this movie is just ridiculous. That's the other thing. The music and the score of this movie, like the original score and actually the licensed songs that they use, fit like perfectly in the film. But yeah, no, the opening credits, like the opening narration is sort of like the opening narration of like a storybook or like a fairy tale where it's like, once upon a time. It doesn't literally say once upon a time, but it's like in, what would I say about this girl and this creature and like blah, blah, blah. And he kind of like very vaguely like kind of paints a picture of like the world that it's going to take place in. And it doesn't really necessarily feel completely real, even though it takes place in like a real period in American history. So there's another interesting element there where it's like you're watching sort of like a modern day fairy tale kind of, and you're not really sure what's real and what's not. It's very good. It comes highly recommended.
It's from Dan.
Dane's stamp of approval.
From Dan's Lapins.
Old Dan.
Dan's
Lieutenant
Labyrinth.
Diane. Dan's Labyrinth.
Dan's Labyrinth. That was good.
You shot.
Look,
Shooting, boys.
it took you a week, but you shot from the hip.
You got your second shot.
All right. Any other movies or things we've watched?
I actually have a lot
about?
more to say about Shape of Water
Oh, okay.
now. I haven't seen this film. Great film.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Got it. Look, it won Best Picture, so you have to say
Great
it's
film.
good. No.
Great film. It's a fantastic movie that I haven't seen yet.
No,
But I will
I do.
watch it.
I do think of the Best Picture nominees, you guys would probably enjoy this one the most. I'm guessing.
Listen, I'll probably maybe watch it.
Listen, I'll watch
No,
it eventually.
I want you to say that you're going to watch it,
I'm not gonna commit.
I can say that,
but you won't do it.
but I don't know if I will.
It's
or
like
not.
Breaking Bad.
Listen, Breaking Bad is a much bigger time commitment than 2 hours of Shape of Water.
That's
Let's
true.
not even compare them.
That's true.
All right. We won't be pulling a movie at the end of this podcast because we are going to watch Seven Samurai at some point. So
That's right.
if anyone else wants to watch the 3-hour epic and follow along, please do that.
3.5.
3.5 hours of Akira Kurosawa epic.
That's right.
All right. Any other things you guys want to talk about?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Let's move on to Video Game Land.
Video Juegues.
The new addition to Disneyland is Video Game Land.
That'd be cool.
They're taking out Star Wars Land. It's Video Game Land now.
This is a trade-off. I'm
Look,
not sure if I'm happy.
look, it was a cool concept, but it turned
They
out that
couldn't do any
they
of that.
couldn't feasibly do anything that they promised.
They've repurposed it. It's now Video Game Land. Okay. Have you guys been
They are
playing?
doing Toy Story
Toy Story.
Land
Yeah, okay.
in Walt Disney World.
cool.
Also,
Wait,
I
are they
believe,
actually?
yes. Also,
I don't know if I'm okay with that.
What?
I mean, like,
you have against Toy Story?
No, Toy Story is fine, but like, I don't know if the concept of Star Wars Land is far more exciting than fucking Toyland. Like, what, you're gonna go like
right now in Disneyland they have
toys.
a Bugs Land. It's terrible. So
Dude.
yeah, I mean it's on that same scale. They're
Look.
not saying like, okay, we have Star Wars Land, which is going to be a completely immersive experience, and Toy Story, where you're going to feel like a toy.
where you're gonna feel like you're in a little toy box.
Like
yeah,
they're
okay.
clearly on different levels.
Fuck off with that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, when I hear it, just as the concept of a theme park, Star Wars Land is like way above anything that they could, probably anything, period. Because it's like space and like just inherently sounds better than like a fucking toy box land or something.
Yeah.
And also the fact that I haven't heard of that says a lot about the promise of that. So
Also, correction on the Star Wars hotel. I think it's only at Disney World, unfortunately. But
no.
It's time to go to Florida, boys.
for the hotel specifically, the lands are going to be at both parks.
Listen, I want the full
Oh
experience.
wait, the land isn't. I didn't know that. I thought it was only at Disneyland.
No, it's going to be at both.
Oh, the same attractions?
I think so. Like, I'm not 100% sure of that.
Man, it's
but
going to be butchered in some way for land, I'm sure.
maybe, but I don't think so. I know it's going to... They announced the size of the park, and they said it's going to be at both, so... Yeah, I think it's going to be approximately the same at both parks. And I
want the full experience.
I love Disney World, too, and I haven't been in a really long time. I really want to go back, so... That's going to be good.
Mark your calendars for Star
fucking
Wars
go.
Land.
It's fucking gotta.
All right, let's talk about video games. Coulter,
Sure.
Let's go!
have you been up to any mischief in video games lately?
Shenaniganry? Listen, I
That's a
haven't been
word.
playing a ton, but I have been playing... Well, first, let's start out with a little transition from the last thing. What have I been watching? Well, I've been watching I've been watching a tournament called the 12 Titans.
Okay, is
from-
Fireburner in?
No, he's not. It's a
Fuck
so
outta
okay.
here.
This is something I really enjoy because it's a different take on the tournament format. So, this is a Rocket League tournament, 1v1s only,
Okay.
and it's one match to be eliminated. One and
Single
done.
elim.
Yep.
Rare format.
And there's
That's
12
interesting.
competitors.
Titans.
And the other thing about this tournament is that it's not live, like it's all put into a like hour-long movie, and it's edited to be like kind of interesting and cool. There's a like
It's kind of cool.
British voice actor like announcing the thing, and he's
Yeah.
like,
Is it David Attenborough?
no,
Damn it.
it's his brother,
Richard.
Dick. So yeah, he's like, in this corner we have Turbo Pulsar. He has proven himself in the 1v1 arena
That's
over the
interesting.
past year. And he just like, it goes on like that. And then there's like ethereal like music playing and like sometimes
Like,
in between. Yeah. And they'll put, like it's super widescreen and it's like color filtered, and they'll put, or they'll do like space, like the camera will be floating through space, and then it'll like go to the arena, and then they
That's
have like
wild.
shots outside the arena, like slow pans and stuff like that, like the maps in Rocket League.
Yeah.
And then the announcer says, "Is this a new map?"
That's good. Lols.
That's an inside joke because Dane always says, "Is this a new map?" Anytime we play on any map in Rocket League. And then he says, "Is this a sea shanty?"
Have you guys heard this sea shanty before?
No, but yeah, it's super cool. And then like they do all that lead up, and then the match just starts, and it like goes into it, and they just have regular commentators and stuff like that. The other thing about this tournament is there's 4 people that start off that are like the up and comers. They're like not like the big boys. And the first 4 matches, it's like those guys versus what they call the gatekeepers, which are like the first seed type people
Yeah.
that are like really good. So it's only one match. Anything can happen. So if like one of the people that are lower like makes it further, it's like an upset and is like a really interesting phenomenon when
Did
that
that happen?
happens. In this last tournament, 2 out of 4 of the like lower people made it through, and like a gatekeeper lost. And in the newest one, this is year 2 of the 12 Titans. They filmed actual like live action footage of the players. So it'll be like, it looks like a dungeon or something like that, and they'll be like sitting in the chairs like waiting, and then there'll be like cool like lighting.
Interesting.
And it's kind of weird because they're super nerdy and like small, and they're like trying to look cool, like walking through like the nerdiest men on earth. But still, they did a good job making it cool. So yeah, that was really cool.
That's neat.
Also, spoilers for that tournament. I don't know. Are you guys okay with me spoiling
Yes.
this?
Please, I want to know.
So the best 1v1 player is this guy named Scrubkilla. Coolest name known to man.
That's a sick name.
He better be good if he has a name like that.
Yeah, this year he's 14. Last year he was 13. He's
we
the best
were talking
1v1
about
player.
this. Yeah, we were talking about this.
He is a young man.
He's a young man from Scotland. And yeah, his name is Scrubkilla. So yeah, he won last year, and he was the favorite to win this year, though there's like a lot of new competitors, and he won again.
Wow.
So it's
Twofer.
pretty interesting.
He's the one to beat.
Yeah. So yeah, and the final match was him versus this guy named Fairy Peak, another weird name, who
These names are just...
they're weird.
Listen, you guys are both proponents of keep their names as sports commentators, so in esports.
I like the cool names, but when it's like Scrub Killer, it's just
I'm
dumb.
imagining
just pick
him
a new name.
in his dungeon with like the lights flashing, and it's like, and up next is Scrub Killer, ready to fight. It's like, all right, bro.
And then his dad is in the background, like making... Like, he has to like be there.
Yeah.
Because
You got it,
What
Scrub.
they
Yeah,
actually
go kill those scrubs. You got it, buddy.
what they actually did, which was kind of cool, is somehow they got a helicopter. So they showed like a helicopter dropping down, and then like two guys in suits like escort him to a vehicle.
That's fucking
And then
lit.
he like walks in.
Scrub
and
Killer?
Yeah, Scrub Killer.
I mean, he can't
He's
drive
13
himself.
years
Sorry,
old.
I did a hard R. Scrub Killer.
Yeah, so he there's a shot where like the camera's behind him, they're like walking in slow motion to the room.
No.
And then they walk in, they face to face, and Fairy Peak is like 6 foot. He's like this huge guy with like long hair. He's not buff or anything, but he's like super tall, and then Scrub Killer is like 13. He's like looking straight up at
That's
this
great.
guy.
I'm gonna kick your ass. No trash talk.
And then he did.
And then he did.
So,
And then he went in.
yeah. It's
Is
an
it standard
exciting
length? Is
tournament.
it 5 minutes?
For a match, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Huh. Cool. That's a cool setup for a tournament.
That is unconventional.
Is this on YouTube or?
It is.
Okay.
And what's cool is that the live stream that they did was the live stream of the entire like edited movie. So people were like reacting in real time to the movie. So it's just like this big conglomerate event
That's
where
cool.
everybody's just watching this like tournament movie.
Giant theater.
Yeah.
That's
So
fun.
yeah, it's a different concept. I'd never heard of anything like that before, so I wanted to
Yeah.
bring that up.
That is interesting. Might have to check that out, even though I don't really like watching Rocket League that much. Like, I like watching like the highlights and stuff, but I don't know if I could watch. Like, is it the full 5 minute match, or do they like cut between?
No,
like,
yeah, it's the full
highlights
5
and
minute.
stuff? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to check it out. It's
I'm interested.
I couldn't
I'm
tell you
interested.
for sure whether or not you would enjoy the
Yeah.
like actual matchup. But yeah, I've also been playing Rocket League a lot this week. I got on a hot win streak, and I went all the way from Diamond 2, Division 3, yeah, like 2 or 3, all the way up to Diamond 3, Division 4. And I was like, oh my god,
I'm
is
about
this
to
going to
do it.
happen? Champion.
Boy, you're about
Champion's
to
the
do
next
it.
rank! And I'm like 1 or 2 games away. But it got really late, and I was like,
You
like,
felt it slipping away.
and I lost 1 game. I was like,
It's
you know
happening.
what? It's getting late. I'm getting a little annoyed. Like, this isn't a good slope
Yeah, I wanna
to
be in the
like
mindset.
go down. So I stopped, and then today I was trying to like hopefully get it before we recorded, so I could be like, guys, I did it.
I saw you
champ.
get on, and that's when we're on the Discords.
Yeah. So I didn't make it. I'm still at Diamond 3 Division 4, so hopefully within the next week I'll reach champion,
there.
which has been my goal for a very long time. Don't know if I'm going to go much higher than that, because that's just nutty. You have to be basically professional.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
exciting stuff
Pretty cool.
for me, personally.
No, that is exciting.
Yeah.
I hope you get it, bud.
Thanks.
Oh, I support you.
Visual
slap.
gag.
Yeah. Hearing that makes me compelled to play more Dragon Ball Fighters, because I enjoy, like, that was one of the things I enjoyed in playing like Street Fighter and Tekken, is like seeing that rank increase. I'm like, okay, like
I'm getting better.
I'm beating these people, and like I'm watching this rank increase, and like that's really fun to see. I haven't played enough of Dragon Ball Fighters to start even doing ranked matches yet, but I want to, because it's fun, and I do want to experience that feeling again. But
You want to feel young again.
I want to feel
13 again.
like I'm a 14-year-old scrub killer.
Savage. Like you're a 13-year-old savage
Yeah.
from Scotland.
Scottish Sav. That would be a better name for him. Scrub Killer changed your name to Scottish Sav.
Scottish Sav.
Oh my god.
You just fell apart.
You're
Your
a
body
monster.
destroyed itself.
You're a fish man.
Have you been playing anything else besides Rocket League?
No. Well, I mean, I have like a little bit of Overwatch and stuff, but
Yeah.
that Overwatch night we had the other night was just
It was a bad
garbage.
night.
We
It was a
didn't win
horrible night.
like a single match.
We didn't. Part of me wants to think that was because the competitive season reset, and so a lot of like competitive players were playing against us, but the other part of me just says, hey,
Dude,
we weren't on top of our
wasn't
game.
on
No,
Right.
come on. We were playing against people who were really good.
Yeah.
They were really good. Yeah.
Like, not like, honestly, like I've said this before, and mostly when we're playing in the moment when we're playing against like golds and like, you know, silver 4 stars or whatever. Like, obviously, when we used to play Call of Duty a lot, like we would play against high prestige all the time, and that doesn't really like, it's not a huge indication of skill, but in Overwatch, especially on the computer, I think it is, because like we're playing against people who are very good.
I mean,
I
listen,
can tell like the things that they're doing when I watch the replays. I'm like, okay, this guy is just like, when he's playing Zarya, like I mentioned, this guy playing Zarya had like the best tracking I'd ever seen on anyone. Like he didn't miss a single like point of damage on me like in the kill cam. I'm like, okay, this guy is just so good at Zarya. Or like a Genji that Genji we were playing against who could not die.
Yeah.
Like things like that, like those people are actually just really good at the game. I think we were playing against people who are legitimately
if
good.
you play the game that long, which is thousands of hours at that point,
So long.
you are good at the game. Otherwise, like,
Exactly.
how could you enjoy playing the game that long and not get any better at the game? It's impossible.
Yeah,
you have to have gotten better, and those guys were good.
They were really good. And so, but what does that say about us?
We need to get better.
No, but what does it say about us that we're playing against those people?
But we're okay.
Like we're not.
I don't know anything
We
about
can't
the
beat-
QP
we can't
rankings.
beat
I don't.
them.
I don't know, but I'm saying like
We're not good enough to beat them.
We're hitting a wall. That's what's happening. Like there are some times where like in the past, like especially like on maybe on PS4 or whatever, where we just like steamroll people. But then on here, it's like I think we're hitting a point where it's like, well, there's people like we're
that's the thing
getting
is-
matched up with people who know how to play.
It's
the
like
game.
a video game. When you see enemies, you know you're going on the right path.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly. But
That-
they're real people.
The thing
who
is,
are-
I don't know if that applies in quick play, because I don't know if it takes into account your like MMR in quick play.
I think it does though, because like when I first started playing on PC, like the first like week on PC or the first like at least few days, I could play as Tracer and get like a 30 kill like 1 death game against people, and like I'm not even like that good at Tracer, but like I just felt like I was dancing circles around people and they could just not
It
do
must
anything.
somehow take
Like,
skill into account.
It
There's
has,
no way.
It has to, because when we first started playing on PC, we were just demolishing people.
Sure.
Like, and on PS4 and all that and everything too. Like when we knew what we were doing, and we would play with like when Colin started playing, like we would get matched up with him, and he was
Yeah.
playing against people like he had just started, and he was playing against people who were super low level. It definitely takes something into account, because like
Jeff,
there's no way.
hit us up.
We need the answers,
Jeff, Mr. Kaplan, please email us at it's not so subtle gmail.com.
Mr. Watch.
Mr. Watch.
Mr. Game and Watch himself.
Over, please. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think we're hitting a stagnant point in Overwatch where people are just.
It might be time.
But there was another night, like maybe a week before that or something like that, where I was like in the groove and like I was trying hard.
There
and,
are certainly nights in that game where we demolished people. Like I quick play for sure. It doesn't consider matchmaking as equal as like competitive.
No, it's not quite the
Like
same.
if we jump into competitive, we will be matched up with equal players because it has that like ranking intact. But
Yeah.
quick play I think is a little bit more lenient, which is why we're getting grouped up with people who are very good at the game. Mm-hmm. And again, the competitive season just ended. People, I don't even know if the new one has started yet, so they're hopping into quick play to
I think
fuck
it did.
around. I mean,
I think it did start.
Okay.
Because they've been doing it pretty quickly now. Oh, and I think it just started, and people were talking about how they're like, "What about Brigitte being added in the middle of a season?" Bridget.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not her name.
I don't know if it's Brigitte.
It is Brigitte. That's what Jeff Kaplan said.
All right.
It's iPhone X.
I'm fine with calling her Brigitte. That's about as far as I'll go.
Yeah.
It's Brigitte.
There's no A at the end.
I'll go with Brigitte.
I can't.
The E is an sound.
Will you go with Brigitte with me?
Look, sometimes
Yes.
Okay.
different languages have different rules. It's weird, right?
It's still written in
Nah.
English.
It's Swedish.
Nah.
It's a Swedish name.
Okay. Brigitte.
All right, Ingemar.
All right.
Marburg.
Danae.
Danae. It's
We-
Dana, actually.
We need to have a not so subtle trip to IKEA.
Can we please?
Yes,
And get comments. How do you pronounce
Can
this
we make a
name?
vlog?
Brigitte.
absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely.
Well,
On our GoPro?
On our-
you know, whatever camera we scrounge up.
our iPhone X cameras. Okay. Coulter, no more games
That's
from
it.
you. Dane, what have you been playing?
Other than Slime Rancher.
That's right. Slime Rancher. Look, don't ever bring that up again. Lols.
I'm gonna start playing Slime Rancher.
I haven't been playing.
Okay, World of Goo. How is it?
World of Slime Rancher.
About World of
D-Blob?
Tanks.
Oh
Ooh,
no,
D-Blob.
no, no,
Deep
no!
cut.
D-Blob 2.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with the sequel of that one.
Something
No one
just
is
popped
familiar
into my
with the
head.
first one.
What is that Wii game where you're like shooting little, like tiny little zap it boys, like
What?
little
Elebits.
peach. Oh yeah, Elebits.
Is that the name
Damn.
of the game?
How did I?
I don't know.
Or is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
It's Ella
Elebits.
something.
It's something bits, I think. So yeah, I think
It's the one by
Elebits.
Ubisoft where it's like the fucking. It's like. Honestly, they're trying to cash in on Pikmin.
Probably.
A hot property.
It's where they're around.
Anyways.
It's you're in a fucking house and
I
there's
have
like
no idea what you're
little
talking
like
about.
there's little
Oh,
like
Mr. Mosquito.
there's like little aliens like running around the fucking remote and or like little like
Chibi
TV.
Robo?
No,
Chibi Robo. That was also good.
Like you would look at a shelf or like it was like they were attracted to electricity or something. So you'd see like this light or like this monitor or something, and then it would be like there's fucking Elebits in there, and then you have to like zap them with
I
the
have
remote.
no idea what you're talking about.
This was a launch game
Dude,
for.
it was bad. You've definitely seen that before.
Brother, that doesn't look good at all.
Yeah, that. Oh man.
Huh.
I remember that cover for sure.
Well,
There's like no images of gameplay.
okay,
Yeah,
so how
that's-
much Elebits have you been playing?
So too much, more than I'll
What
admit.
if
on
someone
this
was like
podcast.
still like into that, just like going in?
What
on
if
the
it was like,
Wii?
all right, guys, like
Number
like
one
a Twitch,
Elebits
like
player.
Doctor Disrespect is streaming Elebits,
Dr. Elebits.
Dr. Elebits. Dude, let's cash in on the untapped Elebits streaming market.
It's a
The
very
streaming
untapped
cash
market.
cow.
Completely untapped.
No, I have not been playing Elebits. I sure as hell haven't been playing Slime Rancher or World of Goo.
Damn. About to blob.
But DeBlob is
But to Blob, it's
first and
Has
I've
foremost.
been playing a lot of time in DeBlob. I just hate saying the name DeBlob. That's the
I
Ubisoft
like it.
game. That's a Ubisoft game for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, outside of Overwatch and I guess some PUBG,
Yeah.
not too much. I since yesterday, I guess, have been playing Final Fantasy 15 on the PC.
Hmm.
You did it.
I did.
You've done it now.
I really like that game.
Can't believe you've done this.
I can't believe you've done this. Even when I'm playing it now, like, quick spoilers for Final Fantasy 15. I know you watched Jordan's stream, right, for a part of it, and you obviously played the game. So
I platinum the game.
that's right. So I just got past the part where it pretty early on, like 3 hours and 3.5 hours maybe, where like you find out that the king has been killed and that Insomnia has fallen, and then
Yeah.
there's a pretty good story beat there, pretty good story pieces with Noctis like struggling with like I don't want to be king and all this stuff. Like some of that is interesting, but I was reminded at how this is the first crack in the facade of that game and
Yep.
and the overall like
First chink in the arm.
yeah, the first chink in the armor where it's like, man, the fact that like they like, cause so you set up, you're about to go on the boat and you're like, okay, I need to do this like little side quest for this guy before I go on the boat, and you get on the you're about to get on the boat and you're like, okay, I'm gonna get on this ferry, I'm gonna travel to Altissia or
Yeah,
whatever, and you're
and
gonna get
find her,
married,
yeah.
and like there's a very clear like objective and a very clear like
It makes perfect sense up to that point.
like yeah, and you're like, wow, this is okay, I understand everything that's happening, like it makes complete sense, there's like motives for all these characters,
Yeah.
like you're starting to like get some character development there, and then like it stops. It cuts to a cutscene
Yep.
mishmash cutscene with no dialogue or like any like sound of what's happening. It's just like a music playing over a collection of scenes from Heavensward, or not Heavensward, Kingsglaive.
Yeah.
The movie for Final Fantasy 15. So
Just ripped from the movie.
yeah, quick. Let's rewind the clock back here really quickly, just for a brief second. Before Final Fantasy 15 came out, they're like, obviously Square is like, wow, this game hasn't come out for like what 47 years, and they're like, okay, so when this movie or when this game does come out, we have to milk every possible cent out of this property that we can. So we can't just have a video game. We have to have Kingsglaive, an hour and a half plus feature length film about God knows what.
I haven't seen it. I don't know.
I haven't seen it. I'm assuming it's about the politics involving the two kingdoms that are trying to have the peace treaty and like, the empire and all this stuff, which is interesting, I guess. I wish they would have had that in the game.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So that's upsetting that you don't get.
You have no setup for what's going on.
There's
in the
no
world.
setup for anything that's happening in the game at all, outside of just what the characters are saying to each other, which is somewhat interesting, but that's not how it's meant to be. It's not supposed to be like an end media race thing where you pop in and you're like, okay, I'm learning about like this world from what I'm being presented.
Yeah.
You're learning about what you can from what they're saying, but all of it is explained somewhere else. You just never see it unless you take an hour and a half of your own time outside of the game to watch a feature-length film, and then you have to watch a 6-part anime consisting of 30-minute plus episodes
for each character to get their backstory.
24 minutes or whatever it is of anime, 6 or 7 episodes, something like that, to learn the backstory of the main characters of the game that you're playing, which doesn't make any sense. So when this happens, when it cuts to the scene where the main character's father, the king of this land, like the biggest story beat in the entire game probably happens. It's literally less than 2 minutes long. It's probably like a minute and a half long. It's just a collection of actual scenes ripped from the movie. And then it cuts back into the game, and it's like the most disjointed thing of all time.
Yeah, it makes, like, when I remember when that happened, I was like, okay, like, the scene is literally him, like, going to bed or something, fades to black, and then that scene happens. I was like, did he fucking dream this? Did he actually go back to the city to fight? Like, what?
Yeah,
there's
like,
no dialogue in this scene.
presented.
And he comes back, and literally nothing happens. I was like, what?
Like, what is going on?
Did I just dream that up? I like paused the game and like went online. I was like, does Final Fantasy 15 have like a missing cutscene or something like that? Because it made no fucking sense.
Yeah.
And that literally is the beginning of the end for the game for me, where I was like, none of this makes sense anymore. Like, nothing makes sense at all. Like, there's
like
no setup.
This story is so like I have a love. This is legitimately a love-hate relationship with this game because I really enjoy the gameplay. Like, I enjoy the whole, like, even though it's kind of weird to say, like, it's kind of fun, like, going on, like, a road trip with these characters, because I think the writing between the characters is really interesting, and, like, I like each of the characters legitimately. Like, I like seeing them talk to each other, and, like, the little quips that they say, and, like, little, like, the animations and all the little intricacies of, like, their actual character is really interesting, and, like, I think the combat is fun, the music is great, the game looks really good, especially on PC now. The game is, like, just a treat to look at and play, and there's great flashy effects and animations, and like it has all kinds of classic like Square Enix style to it, where you're just playing it and you're like, this feels like a good Japanese role-playing game. Like, you just feel happy when you're playing it. But then it, like, the other, like, I would say like 25% of this game, at least like 30% of this game, is like marred by this just terrible story. Like,
yeah,
like it's a small part of it for me, because like, overlooking that, I actually really enjoy like the time that I spend with the game. But then whenever there's some sort of story beat, I just get so disappointed, because like they just, this is a clear example of them just shooting themselves in the foot. Like,
the game feels
they made mistakes,
rushed. A game that was 10 years plus in development feels incredibly rushed and like cut together at the end. I was like,
yeah,
like, honestly, and the story is a massive part of Final Fantasy for me. Like, that's why I play those games, because they have like fun, interesting stories with a ton of good characters. I didn't like the characters in this game very much. I don't think they're fleshed out in the game very much.
They're not.
And when I was playing, I was like, this story, like, it just doesn't make any damn sense at all. Like, it loses this plot. When I got to the end of the game, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? And I just stopped, because I was actually legitimately upset when I was done with that game. I was like, what the fuck did you guys do to like this story? It doesn't make any damn sense. And then you filled it with holes for DLC to pad it out later to fill it. And I was like, all right, I just fuck you guys. Like that's not how you should
and then
like
you proceeded
treat your
to get
fans.
the rest of the trophies.
And then I beat every part of that game to try to because it is a love-hate relationship with me too. I did like parts of that game, but like,
it's like the gameplay is fun, and there's something endearing about it where like I don't know, like it's a very Japanese game, but like it just there's something about it that feels fun and good, and like I want to play it and do a lot of what it has to offer, but like there's so many moments where it's just fucking its own worst enemy, and it's upsetting. And so like even playing it again, like I don't regret. I'm gonna keep playing it. I'm gonna do a lot of the things that I didn't do on PS4, but like it's just as I'm going through, there's just every so often there's just something that happens, and I'm like, God, fucking just like you are just stop.
Like
just,
literally, how do you just like spend a little more time on this, or just like for some reason instead of breaking the story out into a 6-part anime, a 2-hour-long movie, and just put that into the game, like there would be some setup for anything in the movie or the game, but there just isn't.
Yeah, and like and like it's a very strange game to even talk about.
There's a timeline where I stopped playing that game midway through and was like, fuck this. Like there's a legitimate part in that game that they supposedly had fixed now where I literally sat down, I was like, no, I'm done. Like I beat that part and put the controller down. I was like, I'm not playing this for like another couple days because this is just like I was upset playing that part. That's how like frustrating
is the part
it was.
with the ring?
Yeah, so I was just like, this is just trash.
They fixed that.
Sure.
From what I saw,
I wish I had experienced.
From what I saw, it's like actually a game to play.
I'm glad everyone who waited to get to that part of the game will enjoy it, and not the people who supported the game from the get-go.
Yeah, exactly.
They even allowed them to make that DLC.
And there's so many pieces of this that upset me, and like I don't know, I am interested to play some of the DLC because I'm curious to see what they've even done, and like they have added more bosses. They added like a new dungeon to the game. Like they added there's a lot of things like peppered throughout. Like they added new like rings and like accessories that you can wear in the game that change some of the things that people complain about. And like they actually like this is one of the times where like they went through and I feel like they actually listened to some complaints and they're like, okay, we'll like appease this. We'll change this. Da, 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 da. They changed the chapter. Like they added more like endgame content and things like that. But then like the biggest problem for me with that game, and like for you too, was the story, and like they just have not done a lot to fix that, which is really upsetting.
Foresee that being fixed completely because there's parts of that game that are just you can't touch the story in it.
They can't do much, so it's upsetting. But despite that, which is either a compliment or maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know. Like it's either a compliment to how fun the game is, or maybe I'm just it's wishful thinking. I don't know, but I'm gonna keep playing it, and it's entertaining for me in some parts, but it's upsetting in others. So it's a weird game. If someone asked me, "Hey, should I play Final Fantasy 15?" I'd say, I don't know. I'm
not sure.
Maybe like you might really like it. You're gonna be upset at a lot of parts, which is, I mean, Final Fantasy has such a great pedigree of most of the games in that series pretty damn good. This is still pretty damn good, but in different ways.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to recommend or even to explain. And I don't even really know how I feel about it. So, but despite that, I'm going to keep playing it because there's something about that game that is drawing me back.
I agree.
It's a weird kind of... it has me feeling some type of way when I'm playing it. But I don't know. So there's that. That's my Final Fantasy corner.
Yeah, I think for me, honestly, a lot of my memory is just marred by the bad experiences because they were so bad that they actively made me upset.
They're frustrating.
I can recall multiple counts. Like one, that chapter 13 part that was just a fucking abysmal slog through that chapter was annoying. There was the one time, I think you guys were online with me. I was going through a dungeon, literally spent 3 hours of my life in this dungeon, only to find that I couldn't get my way out of there, and then I ended up dying, and there's no save in the dungeon. I was like, okay. I can't. Nope. I can't. I was I literally at that point I was just like, no. 3 hours of my life wasted. No. I'm just gonna turn the PS4 off and just fucking
just
be
so
done
mad.
with this.
Yeah. I remember you being online because we wanted to play. I think it was Rocket League or something. We wanted to play or Overwatch. It might have been. I'm sure one of those. We wanted to play together, and you're like, I'm in this dungeon. I can't. I can't save.
I can't.
And I was okay. Well, when you're done, let us know. And you were literally online for 3 hours.
And honestly,
just doing that same thing.
The design of that dungeon was so frustrating. Every part about it, I was just so
because it wasn't it room after room of a boss.
It's repeating rooms. There's these dumb puzzle rooms that you have to the way the dungeon was set up is that you go to these rooms that are all the same cubes and you move by moving towards one wall, and you have to move to the correct wall. There's fucking 4 walls in each room. Like, how am I supposed to know which one to go? If you get it wrong, you get dropped through the floor into the room with, like, impossibly hard enemies, like boss level enemies. I was like, no, like, and I did that multiple times, over and over and over again to beat them. I was like, how do I get out of here? How do I get out of here? I just don't know how to beat it. And then I died, and I was like, yeah, well, okay, sure, that's fine.
Sure, just
Say ya.
I'm not upset. I'm not upset. Just disappointed in Final Fantasy, and then I shut the game off.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Man, yeah, I don't know.
But there are good parts of that game.
Yeah, it's not all bad. It's like I said, it's a testament to something about the game that I'm coming back and wanting to play more. I don't really know exactly what that is. I think it's interesting that you have to like get in this car and drive around. You have to refuel the car, and like you can camp and like make food and fish, and like there's just something about the game where when you're playing it, you're like, this is fun, and this is like so weird, and it shouldn't be fun, and like the combat is super. I don't know. There's just so many things about the game are just strange, but fun. So I will be playing more of that. And I'm sure I'll have more to say because I'll probably get upset at a lot of the, probably mainly the story pieces. Those are the things that are very obvious flaws with the game. But yeah. That's about all I've been playing. Oh, I played a little more Bayonetta. Man. Just a consistent joy.
I still want to play it.
It's just a treat. It's one of the few times where I can legitimately say that it's just pure fun.
Yeah.
The last game that would compare to this in terms of pure fun would probably be the first Bayonetta, or like Devil May Cry or something like that, where it's like that pure kind of like game experience where you're like, all right, you have these combos. You just gotta, somewhat linear area. You can kind of go off the beaten path to find like in this game, you can find little. I think it was in the first one too, but you can find little like LPs or like vinyl records that you can play or like trade in for like songs, or you can like. There's like these little portals that you'll find that will take you into like this like demon dimension where it's like you get into a room and sort of like Devil May Cry. It's like, all right, you need to kill 7 of these enemies without taking a hit, or like you need to kill all these enemies, but you can only use their weapons, so you have to like knock their weapons off and use them to like kill enemies, and then it's timed, and you get like a scoring system and things like that. So it's just like a very pure video gaming experience where like I can sit down. I bought a Pro controller at that time when it came out. Sit down, use a real controller to do like real combos and stuff, and it feels a lot better playing on that. And you know exactly what you're getting into. There's no frills. You just get in, you kill some demons, you get out, and it's incredibly fun. So that's a very easy game to just plop down on the couch with for a few minutes and kill some shit and get out. Get out.
And watch Get Out.
Jordan Peele. I heard Jordan Peele's favorite game is Bayonetta 2.
Huh, weird.
No, but yeah, that game is great. Highly recommended, still.
All right.
That's about it. What have you been playing, Jordan?
Not much lately. Haven't had too much interest to play a lot of the stuff I was playing. Monster Hunter, and I haven't played too much because I'm kind of at the point where I've hit the wall with that game. I'm kind of done with everything. Got the cool armor I wanted. I could continue on, but I just haven't lately.
We should do some co-op in that.
Yeah, I would love to go back and kill some of those monsters. Play some. Use some different weapons. That's a fun way to get back into the game, but I just haven't done it. Again, most of my time spent playing has either been Into the Breach again, still playing that a lot, or Kingdom Hearts, Kingdom Hearts 2, rather.
How far are you?
I have just finished. What was the last?
I think the last time you were talking to us, you had just done.
I think I just finished the Olympus Coliseum. I'm well past that at this point. I've finished. I think I'm up to Halloween Town again.
Oh, okay.
Christmas Halloween Town.
But
I haven't started it yet.
Did you already do Steamboat Willie?
I did.
Tron?
Cool level. Not Tron yet. Tron's.
Was that later?
Yes.
I don't remember the order of worlds.
Yeah, I actually don't remember the order in that one.
At this point, I could choose between Agrabah or Halloweenton.
Oh, okay.
I haven't done either one.
I like the Halloweenton one.
Yeah,
one.
It's cool.
It's the Christmas Town or whatever it is pretty awesome.
I
like the K. I like that K by
Christmas Town.
I like the outfit.
Really? So
Sora's Halloween Town outfit is cool.
It's dope.
The last level I beat was the Pirates of the Caribbean level, which is a bizarre mix of, like, mostly
I don't
just
like
because
that one.
it's weird going back to it and realizing how strange everything looks when all the Pirates of the Caribbean characters are very realistic, and then Sora and Goofy and Donald are like these weird cartoon
That's the
characters.
thing, like,
it's super just like jarring.
Yeah, and like that's the interesting part about that game is that it like you feel the Disney elements of it way more. Like especially the Steamboat Willie one, like
yeah, that's a cool level.
That's an awesome level, and like with the Tron one, even like it doesn't really like that whole like technological aspect with like the weird like bikes and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't fit into the Kingdom Hearts world at all, and like with Pirates of the Caribbean even more so because fucking like real ass looking Johnny Depp is just hanging out with Sora and Goofy and Donald, and like it's just.
Isn't there a cool mechanic though where the Heartless will have like the skeleton and like normal form
actually,
or something like that?
Those are the actual human pirates you fight against.
You fight against human pirates?
That's weird because you're fighting against real people like in Kingdom Hearts, which is
so
bizarre.
Strange.
But when they walk into the moonlight, they turn into skeletons, and that's how you damage them. Pretty cool mechanic.
Pretty sick.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But yeah, it's just a very weird like. Because they play like the same music, like all the characters they don't sound the same. They're all knockoff versions of the Disney of actual Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's funny. The Johnny Depp voice is not good, but funny enough as a knockoff that it was just like, okay, this guy's trying like his best to do Johnny Depp.
He's going in.
He's like trying, like you could just tell he was doing like his mannerisms, but it's just like, no, you're not doing
Johnny
it the way
Derp.
Johnny. Yeah, exactly. Like
Johnny Derp.
Jimmy
oh my God,
Derp.
that's too perfect.
It's like,
Jimmy Derp.
You're trying, bud. Like you tried really
Jeremy
hard.
Derp.
Yeah. So yeah.
How is the gameplay holding up?
The gameplay is still fine. Like, apart from mashing triangle during QuickTime events, like the actual combat is fun. Like you get way more abilities in this one. So like you can do like way more like aerial combos or like chains and stuff like that. One of the other things that I think this has got added in Final Mix is these things called the absent silhouettes, which are like these mini boss like extra. They're Organization 13 members that you like. These little floating books are like floating the level. You activate them, and it's just a boss fight against Organization 13 member. The first one is in Olympus Coliseum. It's very hard. Like I jumped in, the boss has way more health than any boss I fought before, and the mechanics were like just. I don't think the fight was very good. First of all, like the one I did, the guy will trap your teammates in a book, and you either have to damage the book to free them, or it actually doesn't matter. Turns out because he just does it to everyone anyways. After you do enough damage, he'll like transport everyone into another world. There's a bunch of like books swirling around. You have to like find the right one, hit him, activate a quick time event, and like that part was like fine. Like once I got the rhythm down, it was okay. And then the last part of the fight, he teleports into this black room. There's 3 spotlights, and they're constantly flickering. Like one of them will turn blue, and at random, it's just like flickering blue. And once it slows down, you have to jump into the blue one to survive a meteor strike. And if you don't like jump during that meteor strike, you just die immediately. And like that boss fight took like 25 minutes because the like mechanics just take forever to get through. So I did that fight probably 5-6 times dying through. I was like, this is just not
Did you beat
cool.
it?
I did eventually beat it, but it was challenging and not worth it. I got an item slot from it, but it was very challenging.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't remember that from.
Yeah, I think those are new to
Those are
Final
definitely
Mix.
new, yeah.
But yeah, they're not easy. There was one in the Pirates of the Caribbean level, very hard. Didn't beat it because it's challenging. You're meant to go back after like you level up.
You can go back and do them.
Yeah,
okay.
but it's first try impossible. But yeah, other than that, haven't been playing much. Other than PUBG or whatever.
Because the camera's off.
Yeah, the time's running.
Just
long.
turned off.
That's right.
So we are going to end the podcast here.
Just like that.
Just like that.
All right.
But not before we do our plugs.
That's right.
If you want to, let's do our solo ones first. Dane, where can people find you?
Follow me at Lane DePoint on the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Twitches, and of course,
Pornhub.
No, I won't say it. That's a tired joke.
I said it.
It's a tired joke. It's not.
You baited
funny.
me into it.
I don't have. Look, now you look immature, and I look mature.
Hang on, let me bring up the 31 previous times that you've said this
Yeah,
joke.
I mean, we haven't been laughing at
that's
it for a
true.
while, but
No, yeah,
If
but
ever,
I
honestly.
kept it in because I'm like, well, like I can't abandon my.
I mean, the
fan base
viewers,
on
yeah,
Pornhub.
the viewers.
Yeah.
There's new viewers every day.
Look,
And they're always laughing at that one.
Guys, this is the whole thing about the Pornhub joke. I just think it's a little tired, and I'm not gonna give into that.
We should
anymore.
release a video that's just the thumbnail is just you going like, and then it's
And
like
it's just
the
me
porn
being
thing
like,
about
guys,
Pornhub.
The thing about the Pornhub
Here's
joke.
the thing about
listen
Pornhub.
up. Here's the thing about Pornhub. No, yeah, so...
I made a Pornhub joke.
31 times.
Look,
this time, I'm done with it.
And I regret it. Guys, look, we're going to lift the veil. I don't have a Pornhub account.
What the fuck?
And if I did, I wouldn't name it Lane to Point. I'd name it something sick like fucking Hammer Cock
Jerky McGee.
69 or some shit. I don't know. Like
Name
something...
it Jiminy Jerkaman.
Jiminy
I
Jerky.
would name it Jamaican Jerk Chicken like 420 or something like that.
I don't know if numbers in a porn star name they're not esports.
No.
stars,
Like
I
it's
mean.
not my porn star name. It's my Pornhub like username.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
In that case, that's fine. Then.
Like something that you would. Yeah, it would have to be.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of these are taken. Anyway. Yeah. So I'm not making that joke anymore.
Okay. Do you have one to replace
ends
it?
tonight. No, I'm gonna think of one.
Okay.
So please continue with your plugs, and maybe I'll bring it up if I think of it.
Coulter, where can the folks find you?
Guys, go ahead and search me up at Coulter Potter on
not?
Twitter, Instagram. That's it. Twitch, I guess.
All right.
If you stream,
If I stream, which I haven't in a while, but
Yeah. You can find
it's
me,
never too late.
it'll come back soon.
Jordan Miller, at The Killa Miller on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, which I did try to stream our PUBG exploits the other day. I don't know if it worked. I'm having some trouble
Yeah.
looking at Twitch on my phone. It's just been a abysmal time on there. So
Can you please change your name on all of your social medias to Jorsman Millsmans?
absolutely not.
Jordan Millsman.
That does not roll off the tongue, and I will not be doing that. People will need.
It was worth a shot.
I appreciated that.
I would have to spell that out first of all to the new listeners, and I don't want to have to do that, so I won't
fair.
be doing that.
You would have to spell that out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but
impossible to spell.
not Tenzo Dash
Not THA.
No, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. If you want to follow my blog about anime on Tumblr, Tenzo-Taicho.
How do you spell that?
If you know it, you know it.
If you know how to spell it, you know how to spell it.
That's fair.
You can find all of us at itsnotsosubtle@gmail.com. Also on our website, Not So Subtle, itsnotsosubtle.com. Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, It's Not So Subtle. And follow us on iTunes and give us a review because those are very nice and helpful.
Guys,
That's right.
if you have any, if you have anything to say,
Look, if you're
I was gonna
smelling-
think of like a question
Look, if you're smelling toast.
that we could ask.
The question would be, would you rather jump out of a plane or hike up a mountain?
Okay,
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's
That's
good,
somewhat
yeah.
interesting.
That's
I
fair.
mean, that's something that anyone could comment on, I think.
that's right. Did you
That's
watch
right.
any of the Oscar movies? If so, which is your favorite?
Oh yeah,
What's your best picture?
What's your personal best picture? Did you agree with the Academy? Was it a safe pick? Was it a daring pick? What do you think?
Great.
I want to know.
No.
So please send those questions into our social media, Twitter, Instagram. It's Not So
Anywhere.
Subtle. Or, once again, it's not so subtle @gmail.com.
That's right. And guys, look, I thought of a joke to replace the Pornhub. I started a Goodreads account at Lane to Point, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each volume of the Encyclopedia Britannica and review each individual page, starting with page 1 of the first volume.
Would it be possible for you to just review each letter? Like the letter A? Like everything in the letter A? Could you do that?
Well, potentially, yeah. I mean, that's going to be something that I would want to get feedback on from my fan base, my existing. Because I'm assuming what I'll do is I'll, for all the people who were looking forward, or maybe like they felt a little bit of a disconnect between me and my Pornhub account, and they're like, "Well, I wanted this Pornhub account." They're going to be my main fan base on Goodreads.
Yeah.
And so I'll
'Cause
start
that's
with.
where they're gonna get the content.
The
they were looking for.
crossover
Exactly.
there.
And
in
so
the
I'm going
content
to start.
is
Well, they're
high.
going to warm
These
up.
encyclopedia reviews are really just gonna get
They're
them.
gonna warm up
Yes,
to it,
lock their
but
socks.
the thing is, I'm gonna start pretty hot with the fan base there, and they're gonna have a lot of like requests and things that they want me to do. So maybe if you could maybe hold off on your particular requests until my fan base figures that out first.
Okay.
I'd really appreciate maybe like.
All right. Well, let us know how that works next episode.
I'll be sure to. It'll be going forth. This will be my
Your
Corner.
new joke.
my Encyclopedia Britannica corner.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone.
Ta ta.
For now.
Toodaloo.
Goodbye.